the background and the person isn't paying attention, you can mute just that person fairly quickly. So
exactly. Do it quite often.
I always find mute all works well.
David, I don't think you're recording yet, sir.
I just started recording.
All right.
Yes,
Okay.
this moment. Somebody set me up. Thank you very much.
All right. Yeah, it's. I'm a little distance from the server. It's getting a little bit slow.
This week,
Okay, co-host, I gotta ask
caught me
something
off
to co-host.
guard. It decided it had to update my operating system about 20 minutes ago, and I've been sitting around saying, "Stop updating! Let me get onto the computer." That's a
Exactly.
problem with a PC. They
I just go into the task list and start killing the install
That's
tasks.
what I should have done. I hadn't thought about it.
And I know you know how to do that.
One morning,
Windows
a
is
week or two
robust, it
ago,
will recover.
I don't know if it was just coincidence. All my Apple devices were getting downloads at the same time. They didn't all start and all for the same thing, but they were getting downloads.
Fills up your airweb pipe in a hurry.
Yeah. Well, I unsnapped from the internet and tried one of them back, and I got back in through the phone line. I know the weather's changing all over America right now. I mean, it's crazy out there. It's the beginning of spring or a late winter, early spring. You know, what I'm looking at this afternoon is this weekend is the big jazz fest in New Orleans, and that's a huge event for the city. Not for me. I was paid to go there a couple of years. I wouldn't go back again on a bet. It's like they harness crazy and bring it
Yes.
in. They advertise for it. Hey, you want to come get great, stupid, and drunk? Come here, you know. And but it's going to be 89 degrees on Sunday.
Oh,
I'm hoping all these. No, man, I shouldn't say it's not a nice thing, but hey, you come in, you're going to get it.
I've been wearing,
89 degrees.
I've been wearing 2 and 3 layers for like 8 months. So it's like it gets above 65 and I'm get very confused about how to dress.
I've been in a t-shirt and shorts all winter.
It sounds lovely.
Snowing right now here in New Hampshire.
Snowing right now?
Snowing right now, Eddie.
I'm glad I'm in Massachusetts.
Talking below freezing tonight and tomorrow night.
Wow. I don't want to say, I get up in the morning, put my swim trunks on, to slip a t-shirt on and go to the pool. And the only time I'm cool is the locker room is cool. The pool is warmed and the building is kept conditioned because it's a medical center's health center. It's not in a medical center. In fact, I built this place that we go to. And it's been modified, changed, and updated and all, not for a meat market type gym atmospheres. It's there for people who are going there to rehabilitate, to recondition. There's still racquetball and running and the weightlifting and all that, but there's a whole lot goes on in the pools and rehab rooms. And I was in the pool the other day watching. They got glass walls all around to see what's happening in other studios. And I watched this guy I've been knowing for probably 45 years dancing with a bunch of women. I mean, it was obsession, going around spinning and all that. And I saw him a little later. I said, "How you doing?" He says, "Oh yeah, I got to do this, get my coordination back." You know, he had had a brain tumor, and this was part of his rehab. And I tell you, I've been knowing him more than 50 years. I knew him in Vietnam. But he's in there dancing, thinking, "Boy, if I could record this."
Probably having the time of his life.
Oh, I mean, he was. And I did tell him, I said, you know, the one important thing you have to keep in mind, you can put down your damn cell phone. Put it down. I'm tired of bumping into people at places because they're down looking at their phone all trying to walk, talk, and chew gum and everything else at one time. That's going to thin out the herd.
Yeah, people talk about the zombie apocalypse, and many claim that it's already here. Just watch the people under 30 wandering around and looking at their cell phones. So yeah.
Yep.
The problem is it's not just the people under 30 anymore.
Well, I know that. Yeah, there's some people who walk in my neighborhood, for exercise, and they're walking the whole time with the head in the cell phone. I'm watching the hawks and the eagles and the sandhill cranes and stuff, and I'm like, and I'm walking a dog. How do you do that? How do you walk and look at your cell phone? I don't get it.
Well, 40 years from now, there's going to be a whole generation of people that can't use their thumbs because they spent the whole time texting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. They'll have neck trouble too.
Yes.
I've got a niece who, this was 10 years ago and was diagnosed. She had carpal tunnel in both hands from the abuse of that. But she could text with one hand, with a hand down underneath the desk, in class, and she said, my hand hurts so bad. And they told her, quit texting. But they had to put her in control gloves, which I wore for a couple of years because of carpal tunnel. And that restricts them, especially if the doctor knows what it's caused by. They can strap the back of it to keep it down. But yeah, today, my wife and I, when we go through the hospital, she holds my hand, and it's not necessary to keep my balance, which it does pretty well, but it's so that we make up a pair when you walk into somebody and they may catch the pair, but otherwise we're together to where we can pull one or the other out of the way. And it's, you're right, there all of them grown up looking at that. I love it when I see the kids playing outside, because it means they're not inside on Thumber. So, all right,
One thing about it, Eddie, I did not look at a cell phone or play video games when I was a kid.
I didn't either. My game player, it was constantly foggy. I mean, it was terrible. I guess it was in the early 70s, I bought something called Pong for my kids to play. I mean, a basic thing where you had one control and you could move where a ball bounced on the screen. And after we had it there a week and 10 days, kids got bored with it. I was glad they went back to reading. Hey, I understand that today is Doug Rowe's birthday.
Yes.
How about that? He retired. Did y'all watch him last weekend? He retired on the 23rd.
That was a good video. It was really well done.
But the military will never be the same without him. Never. But I got to look at it this way. I served in the Air Force, and almost every single base I served in is closed. I should let you know the impact I had. Okay.
Now, does that mean he's officially out now, or?
I think so. I think he had to turn in his bullets and everything. I mean,
No, I think
Is everybody hearing the echo?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I hear it too.
let me see something.
It might
but
be.
it's
It might be
effective
you,
this
Eddie.
summer. He's using leaves that he's got on the books.
Yeah, now you're
I'm
muted,
mute
Eddie.
now. See, did that do any better?
Yes, that's better.
Okay. One of the other sources were feeding through, so I turned everything off. About Doug, retirement's retirement, isn't it? Isn't he out the box?
Echoing again.
Me, I don't understand how that's going to be. I don't have any other devices running.
It might have been Sue also.
Blame it on Sue.
It could have
That was
been.
it.
I'm
Sue.
on. Blame it on me. I'm on my Mac tonight instead of my iPad.
Well, I was looking at the mics, and when the echo was happening, your mic was going too. So that's why I suggested it might be you, but it's not happening right now. So I guess we're good.
Okay.
Well, what's it doing now?
Nope, not you. Okay, Sue.
No.
Everybody seems to be fine right now.
Got to keep in mind, essentially, this is a free service. Now, Trace pays for the professional line, so he can have the meetings that goes under Trace's name can have up to 300 members, and we lined up with him because we don't have a budget, and it's about $250 a year to do it standard, or something like that. So we, Trace made the offer. We took him up on it. I'm kind of glad it works for us, and it allows us a lot of growth room, and that's what I'm looking for, is that growth room. I heard from a guy from another, I started to Dave Rhodes, another guy tuning in, and he gave us the name of his club to add to our list. And really, I can't pronounce that name. I think it's from the Blue Ridge country, or over that way. But we have a lot of input from clubs and a lot of input from members, and our contact list has continued to grow. And if you don't know about that, it's pretty simple. If you want to be on our contact list, now it's not a membership list, it's not a roster, it's not required. This is just, we have folks that say, hey, how can I call Sue? Or how can I go to Doug or Matt or one of those folks? Well, if they volunteer to offer information to put on the contact list, we will add it on. Dave Rhodes adds it to our contact list. Now, what information? Put what you want on there, but no commercials. Put what you want on there. If you want to say, hi, I'm Matt Harper, this is my email address, or my phone number, or my address, or my website, or my YouTube, or you put it in there. How do you do that? You go to chat right now, or whenever you get it together, you go to chat and you type it in and it says, I want to be on the contact list. Dave will add you to the list, and then on our website under, David, where's that file, that?
It's under contacts.
Well, that's a good place to put a contact list. You go to,
I'm sorry, yeah, it's on the contact page, and you hit a small button at the top, and when you do, it pops up something that says, please fill in these 3 items and uncheck something. And if you fill them in right, it knows you're not a bot, and it will send you a link to the file.
Okay, now, is subject the password?
Captain is the password.
All right.
With a capital C.
Capital C.
And I chose it, not Eddie. I just thought everybody knows Eddie, so we'll remember it.
Well, everybody remembers me. One reason or another. But if you want to be on that list, send it to us. I keep it downloaded at my phone. When you get it, when you ask for it, you submit for it. You'll receive an email with a PDF file, and it's not a live file. Pardon me, because a live file the bots can get to. We don't want it to happen. You can use that information. Put in your phone, you can scan from one page to the other in your phone. If you need a number or a contact list, you can do some, the right people with the right fingers can do some copy and paste. I love it. Somebody on this meeting group told me a couple of weeks ago a trick to try to get rid of all that trash mail I was getting through royalwhitewoodturners@gmail.com, our club email address. I was getting a ton of information every day on it. And they told me a couple of different tips to try. And I've been playing with it. And when it works out, I'm going to share it with you, if it works out. But it looks like it's getting there. I'm getting down to maybe 15 a day. I was up to maybe 75 a day, yeah. And you look at it in the morning and say, oh, wow, this is great. and it might be one or two of y'all. Oh,
Hey, Eddie?
photographs. Hey,
Hey, you want to do a gallery? We got
I'm
something
ready
else
for you. I
that's-
see a couple of pop up in there right now.
Yeah, let's
I'm going to pull me off the spotlight, and when they
see
start
if we can
talking,
find
which you have to
you.
do if we announce you folks, you have to talk so we can find you. All right,
Let's see.
Brenda can find you because Brenda's filling in for her boyfriend, Dane Chandler. In fact, he's traveling halfway across the country to go see Brenda. This is the truth.
Here we go. How about Dave Kingsley?
Dave, what you got today?
Well, I have am I unmuted? Let me try.
Yes.
Yeah, you're good.
As having an impending grandson, my first, I decided to try making a rattle. And this is a proof of concept, and I have some questions about it. This piece of wood is not, it's got some cracks and some voids and stuff. But just in general, what would be the best thing to use for a finish?
All right, throw it out there, folks. I got two recommendations. Either go in oil, like a fruit oil, and you have to worry about this any allergens or allergies. The second would be I'd be thinking CA.
CA?
Yeah.
I would put on their vegetable or mineral oil.
Mineral oil?
Yeah.
They will eventually chew on.
Either that or absolutely nothing.
Yeah, mineral oil is hyperallergenic, and you don't have to worry about food allergies or anything.
Okay. But I have a lot of work to do on doing this. Is basically a proof of concept, so I think it's a little big, but it's not a bad start.
That could be like a Bam Bam Club from the Flintstones.
Yeah, you don't know. Maybe you'll come out strong like a bull. You know.
Strong like a bull. Yeah.
Don't worry, he'll grow into it.
Yeah, he'll grow into it. He'll be able to use it longer.
There you go.
But it's got a couple of spots where the wood is bad. So
yeah,
One
I
of
would
the
suggest
things I
sanding it to
used-
1,000 and not put anything on it.
yeah, well, this is sanded to 1200.
Yeah, that and just leave it at that.
Yep.
Yeah, but you talk about size, and my opinion is you want a size that the child can choke on.
Right.
So I don't think that that's too big.
I worry more about the weight. I hate to take him to the pediatrician and have bruises on his head because he's whacked himself with his own little club, because they don't know they're harming themselves. So something light, I prefer better.
Well, it's fairly light. I mean, I got it down to less than 1/8 of an inch on the top. This is
wow.
He'll be a few months old anyway before he's able to grab it. So
exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I think it looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're.
You got on the inside of it.
I've got some dried beans.
Dried beans. Cool. And it's glued together good enough. It's not coming apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty solid.
You're good.
Well, one thing about it, if every one of us made one, we'd all make it different. So consider yours an original.
Yep.
Gotta put
I'm sure that I'm
beans in.
going to make more.
And just remember, eventually he's going to play grandfather pickup.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I'm really looking forward to it.
Congratulations, by the way.
Yes.
Yes.
Nice seeing you, Dave.
All right. Want to go to Greg Bray? He's got a tip for us.
Greg Bray.
Let's see if I can find him.
Hey, how you doing tonight?
All right, Dave, how are you? Thank you for the demonstration a while back. I had somebody call me about a demonstration, about a copy of it.
We got the echo back.
Where is it?
Are you up?
I'm up. Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, I don't see myself coming up.
Well, I do.
Yeah.
Okay, there it is.
We're gonna, all right. We have you
All
on
right.
spotlight, Greg.
All right, I got you. Hey, all of us has got shop vacs in our shops, and you know that when you suck up that real fine sawdust and how it gets caked in the filter, and sometimes you have to take them off and beat them out and blow them out and put before you buy a new filter, and it gets real caked up. Here's a solution that I've used. This is a sock for a swimming pool filter. And all you do is slide it over that filter inside your shop vac, and it eliminates you that filter being clogged up. When you take it off to empty it, all you do is just take this and shake it out a little bit. It eliminates all the dust, and your filter stays clean.
It's a good tip.
And you can probably throw that in the washer too, couldn't you?
Yeah, you can wash them. Only thing is when you, if you ever suck water up, make sure you take them off. But it has saved me, you know, a lot of money for buying filters and stuff when they get clogged up. And you get 2 of them in a bag for about $6.
Hey, Bray.
Good idea. How about we go to Ron Vincent? And he just disappeared.
Brian and
I'm here.
They moved.
Can you find me?
Yeah, but they were over there having a garage sale. Their
Well, I
son,
didn't see you. I'm not seeing you.
20,
I'm here. There you go.
25.
Well, I watched Martin's 17-hour Ukrainian thing, and Cade did a demo on can tops. So I made one. It only takes about a half hour, and it doesn't have any finish on it now, but it fits.
Hey, Ron, do you have a TV? Do you have a TV going in the background?
No, I have a wife talking.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
But
you can
that's
figure
all.
out what to do about that wife. Let me know.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. That's all I have.
Nice job. Good.
Were you there for the whole 17 hours, Ron?
No, I was there for maybe 5 on Sunday.
Okay, I was going to say I didn't see you. I did an hour for Martin also. So
yeah, you probably
I was going to jump in there and say, Ron, if you have spent 17 hours watching me turn and turned a pop can that Katie turned, I'm coming to get you.
No, I just was goofing around today. Finally, I got up above 40 in the house or in the garage, so I could go out there and work a little bit.
Yeah, it was perfect. Perfect little quick thing to turn. Very good.
Yeah.
I'm on that, Captain Eddie. If you don't mind me jumping in, can I just thank you for the support from not only the group but yourself. And I was delighted with the weekend. We had an awful lot of people coming and going, and it was exactly, no, I'm not going to say exactly how I expected it to be, because I would have liked more of the group to have chat amongst themselves, but it ended up very much sort of a hands-on demonstration right the way throughout the day. So by the end of the day, I was shattered and my voice had almost gone. But the overall response was fantastic, and we are well up to, I think once I've sold the items that were turned, we'll be over £1,000 for the Ukrainian group. So thank you for your support, and it was great to see so many of you join us throughout the day. Thank you.
Thanks.
What's that in American?
About $1,500.
Yeah, about 1,500.
Yeah, I thought it went pretty smoothly. The bits that I was a part of, I wasn't there the whole time, but I mean, my demo went smoothly, and the bit I caught in the morning went smoothly, and so on. So I thought it was well done, Martin, and very successful.
Thank you.
Nice job.
I got one. Very good, Martin.
I got one more on the list, Eddie. You want to go ahead and do this?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
All right, let's find Norbert Plutz.
I'm right here. Yes, let me get a few things. I have a couple of pieces to show. And the one that I'm going to keep for last is the one I've been working on as far as chip carving. So let me start with a larger piece. I'll show you the the first piece. So I need to step back a little bit so that you folks can see it. I think in order to get an appreciation, this
my.
is walnut.
Nice.
Wow, the camera sure doesn't. It's all
Back up a little bit more, Norm.
Okay, let's try this.
There, now it's getting there.
Okay, so look at the top, and that's Purple Heart inserted on top of the black walnut, and the piece is about 12 inches hollow inside. It has a number of cracks along lengthwise, but they're all filled in with additional walnut pieces from the same chunk that I got. So then the finial, I want to see if you can see the finial.
Oh my.
Oh my goodness.
If you look at the finial, so that was turned and then used a super small screwdriver that was sharpened like a blunt, well, sharp awl, I guess. And I tried to reach down and got in trouble a couple of times, but when I slowed down the RPMs on the lathe, then it turned out to be okay.
That's incredible.
So when you put things together,
That is
and you look at it,
beautiful.
so that's how the top then fits onto the piece.
Man.
Okay? So then let me get you another piece here.
Very pretty, Norm.
Thank you. So I've taken a couple of courses. Well, I took a course with Ernie Conover a few years back, and so I've been sort of going through and doing a bunch of boxes. And this was one of my first pieces not long ago. If you look at the side, probably need to back up a little bit. And then if I take this up, and then this is wood burn instead of carving it. I felt I didn't feel like doing it and inhaling the dust, so I basically same pattern, just used the burning tool, and so again it's a Purple Heart finial with a lid with just an ebonized maple finial on top, and the bottom I then also ebonized so that the wings are separated from the unit itself.
That is pretty.
Okay? That is pretty. Thank you. Let's go to the next
Very
one.
nice, Norbert.
Very nice, Norbert. So this is coffee wood. One of the things that Ernie always recommended, that you don't want to see the seam where the lid meets the unit, and so in this case my seam is right in between those two wire burned marks, and so then when you look at the lid with the finial on top, it is Purple Heart, and then the pattern of the grain, when you meet and put things together, you cannot see the seam. It sort of disappears.
Nice.
So that's kind of a tight fit.
That one looked like a very tight fit.
Yeah. Then this piece, I did a four-winged, and I burned the entire outside of it and textured it. So when you look at it, this is maple, again with a Purple Heart collar, ebonized insert with just a red dye for the finial. And if you look at the inside, and then I'll show you the underside. So when I turn this over, camera-wise, I need to back off. So that is the underside.
Does it sit on the corners?
Yeah, it sits, I'll show you on my hand. It sits just like that. Okay. And then the very last one is when I was working on to do the chip carving, and I put just a coat of matte lacquer, but this is basswood with a pine finial. So let me show you the whole unit first.
That is.
Wow.
Okay.
Very
That's
nice.
the bottom of it, so that sits on, again, it's so hard with my camera, but nonetheless, so then it's, from the top, it looks like that. Okay. Then the finial.
That is awesome.
Thank you. The finial is pine. I just had a piece of tight grain pine. And then the lid is matched to each and every one of these spikes coming up. So when you look at the texture of the undulations around the rim of it, they match the pattern, and so the whole thing looks like that. So that is
Gorgeous is what that is.
Okay. So, and I finished that just
Phenomenal.
today. So
Very nice.
And then I have a hint of what I have been taught by my father he was a pipe organ builder in Germany. And one of the things that he couldn't stand is to sand, using sandpaper, holding it in your hand, and just using your fingers to put sanding small stuff. And I got a couple of slaps behind the ear and behind the head a couple of times, since he was one of those typical German, what do you call them, perfectionists. So two things happen with that is I never use my bare hands to sand even vessels or things. One of the things that he told me is use a heavy piece of leather. Sharpen one edge of it so that if you have to put it inside a sharp indentation, your fingers will never reach inside and get that done. The leather will reach in and be stiff enough to sand what you want to sand. Plus, having the leather in your hand, if you sand, you will never get burned, so that you're dropping the paper or changing the RPMs or whatever. So all these years, woodworking, wood carving, I have never ever used just my fingertips to hold the sandpaper, because in my case, I find it's a lot more equal distribution of the pressure with having the piece of leather in your hand, and it contours itself to whatever contour you want to fit it to. So if you have a round vessel, it just follows the contour just as well.
Nice tip.
So,
Great tip.
okay. So and this
Yes.
is for round. This is another leather piece, and that's for the round 2-3 inch that we get for our vessels. And I just put that right on top of here and hold it in my hand. But the leather is the main support for putting the pressure on and not having to worry about burning your fingertips. So that's my tip.
Where would you suggest you get the leather at?
You can get it at Tenyas, not Tenyas. What's the name of the national leather company? Tandy, yeah. And I got the heaviest. I'll show you real quick. I've got the heaviest roll, and I use it for other reasons. I do my boxes sometimes. I put a leather bottom in it instead of finishing it off with sanding. But this is 6 square feet of leather for $30.
That's like 13 ounce.
It's the heaviest that they have. It comes, it comes from the belly of the, and it's probably, some of it is probably a good 3/16 thick, almost a 1/4 inch, So, and this will last me again for years. So, but I use it for different projects when I carve. So that's just, and I can still feel a hand behind my head when my dad told me and corrected me about sanding. because I wasn't allowed to use a tool when I was 10 years old until I knew how to sand everything properly. You know, then when a moist cloth over top what I just sanded, and then I got that done, then another moist cloth wipe over top. So that happened about 6 or 8 or 10 times before he was satisfied that it was smooth. And I do the same thing with my turnings. I use a moist, not wet, just a moist rag, and I go over top of it. That brings up the grain to no end. That gets cut down. Then I take another, again moist, and do the same thing and cut it down. And I do that probably 5 or 6 times easily. And that just absolutely, once you put a finish on, nothing will come up.
Wow.
So
that's why your products are so beautiful.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Norbert. Appreciate you sharing with us this evening.
All right. How about we go to Donald Masterson? Yeah.
Yep, I'm here.
I let off him, and we'll put it on Donald. Donald, keep talking, bud.
Where'd you go?
Yeah, Eddie, on me.
There you are.
There he is. What you got for us?
This is my first punky Tasmanian pearl, eucalyptus pearl. It was a real challenge, as you can see the punk there and on the inside. But it hasn't got a final finish on it. But I just had to show, and I'm so pleased with the way it turned out.
That thing's got some character in it.
Yeah,
This one
pretty,
here
pretty, Donald.
Ooh, he's done more.
is a fruit bowl.
You made those pieces too?
Yep.
Don't move them over. You're out of the camera.
Right in front of you, down. There you go.
Back it up a little bit.
Closer to you.
There you go.
There you go. Oh, that's nice.
Wow.
Very nice.
That looks nice.
The fruit is silky oak, and the bowl itself is mango.
Mango?
Mango.
That is sweet. Ooh, I like that. I like it.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Yes.
Very nice.
Nice, nice, nice.
The fruit was the hardest part, because to finish it up, to hold it, once you've got it almost finished, to take the either the spur sanders out or where you've chucked it. But it was a challenge, and I love doing it. That's all. Thank you.
There you go.
Very nice.
Well, Eddie, that's all we got right now for gallery.
I'll try to see if we can get past that echo problem we're experiencing this evening. And uh-oh. Did that affect anything just now? Did the echo go away?
Yeah, it's gone away.
Yep.
It was a button. What was that? Right up there on the screen on original sound, and somehow I turned it on when I was trying to find out how to get on tonight. So, all right, apologize for that. Couple of things to mention in our calendar tonight is our calendar. I took a breeze through it today, and that guy right there, he's responsible for a whole lot of trouble in this world. And I'll tell you right what it is. This is Dave Rhodes. He's our master webmaster, and he handles our website, which is probably one of the, if not the finest wood churning websites in the entire world. And a couple of weeks ago, David took it on himself to expanded calendar of events, only dealing with wood turning. And David is growing, isn't it?
It is. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Brenda, if you really want to put your garage sale on it, we can do that too.
Yeah. Well, I see today, I saw AAW was at it. SWAT was at it. Now, here's the deal, folks. Members, we're looking for all those other events that happen throughout the year. The smaller symposiums, the smaller programs. If you're doing an IRD, if you're hosting an IRD, we want you to put it on our website, on our calendar. We will be sharing the word. Now, the cost is a little bit weird, okay? You give us nothing. That's the weird part. We don't have a budget. We won't have a budget. The financial report, none. The whole program here, the whole meeting concept was designed to expand wood turning knowledge. And we want to do that with you. So send us information you'd like to be part of our calendar. We'll try to highlight them during the meetings for you, but we need to keep current, bring it to us. And somebody contacted this week, he says, but I do the demos, but you have to pay for them. Well, I see Lyle Jameson on that list. I see Cindy Drozda on the list. I see other people jumping in because why? We don't charge and we don't want to separate us from IRDs or paid programs. We all have a space in this wood turning world. We just like to share our space. The next is
my club here in Detroit has decided to do a symposium this year in October. So it's a one-day thing right now, but this is something new for us. So we've never done it before. So I will add that also. So thanks.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. I talked to a group of clubs maybe 10, 12 years ago in the Gulf Coast that was interested in doing a symposium or a gathering. And it looked like I had to step away for business for a while. It looked really good until we had a naysayer pop in that wanted to talk insurance. As soon as that happened, the whole thing died. I don't live my life around insurance. That's the way I live.
Eddie, what's an IRD?
Offers interactive remote demo when we do it online.
Yeah, it's what we do.
Okay, thank you.
It's not, it's a pay-per-view. It's not like YouTube where if you watch there's a sponsor and there's some money for the sponsorship goes to, it's called monetizing, goes to the host. And that's why there's so many girls in bikinis doing fishing programs. I mean, they're all over the place. Not that I check it out. I read that someplace.
You mean this
girls in bikinis fishing, huh, Eddie? Okay. Yeah, technically, this is an IRD right here, Sue. What we're doing is an IRD. It's just nobody's paying for it. Well, Trey is, I guess, okay. But this is technically an IRD because it's very much like this. And when we do our demos, that's what it's like.
Yeah. And
okay, thanks, guys.
Yep. There's a separation between IRDs and pay-per-views to a slight degree. Pay-per-views, it is somebody hosting a demonstration and you receive an invitation by paying for it. And they go on, there's one every day. By one group or another, and then every time of the day. I was kind of bored the other day, and I was flipping through at about 2 o'clock in the morning, and I caught one from Great Britain that was just wrapping up. But I saw the gallery. The gallery is beautiful. Now, so you can find one 24 hours a day. Got to remind you folks about Freedom Pens. We are still collecting Freedom Pens. We will always collect Freedom Pens. Even though Sergeant Rowe has abandoned the Army, or the Army's abandoned, not Sergeant Rowe, don't know which way it goes. We still have contacts within all 5 services that we can get Freedom Pens to. And we have other members of this group, this club. I think Jim is down in Florida, and he handles the Navy. Ronnie, unavailable tonight, he handles the Marines. And we have a Coast Guard guy, and we have a Space Force contact. and we have an Air Force guy too. So with all that, you make a freedom pen, you send it on to us. Who popped in the beginning of the meeting that was sitting there wrapping pens? Somebody had 40 pens to wrap. Please
Yeah,
consider.
that's Randy Smith. Yeah.
Randy Smith had that.
I ran out of envelope or plastic.
I tell you, I the first 1,000 I did, I put in the little plastic tubes, little triangular plastic tubes, and I was fussed at by the guy that was. I had to send them to the distributor because packing those tubes is much more expensive than plastic bags when you stack one on top of the other, and then if the tube cracked or whatever. So plastic bags, and make sure you put a note. A business card, a thank you, I like. Put that in there. They'll contact you. They'll send you an email or a message. Of all things, some guy named Doug Rowe called me probably 7 or 8 years ago from the sand and wanted to talk about turning, and he was going to come back and buy a Powermatic 3520, and he was all blown up about it, and that's our Doug Rowe. We became friends that way, and it was through Freedom Pens. So you not only make a friend, you make a friend who's dedicated their life to protecting you. And no matter what country you're in, all those people are protecting you.
Hey, Eddie.
Hey.
I got another one jumped in for gallery. How about we go to Terry?
Terry?
Can you
Terry.
find me?
Yes,
if you can find me there on the talking away. There we go. Well, I got a few things I want to talk about. One, I don't know if Martin has still got that account open. As everybody knows, I'm not much on computers, and I didn't have much luck with doing that. And I'm still trying to make a contribution. I'm probably going to have somebody else make it for me if that account is still open, which it should be. And I'll get Joaquin to do it on a PayPal. I just didn't have good luck with watching it or doing it. I could get it on my phone, but I couldn't get it on the iPad. And anyway, nothing to them. It was just, I don't like computers. The only reason I have this is for this club. But anyway, on to the next step. I got a little thing for tips. Whenever you're making a piece, it's a real good tip to make sure that the inside is smaller than the outside. Because if you don't, you're going to wind up with one of these. I was just thinking that I probably should have put the light on when I heard it, and it was all over. I was working further in. But anyway, I had quite a bit of time in getting this far, but it might make a good hula hoop or something. But anyway, we'll go on from there. Then a little, let's see if I can go on. Told you I wasn't going to do too many more lamps. This is a lamp base that I actually made. I probably need to turn it off so you see it. This is a base that I made. I made 11. The one that you just saw in pieces is going to be 12. And it's another Norfolk Island pine, but that's one lamp that I made. I wasn't going to bother you too much with that. But I
love your lampshades.
I did tell you that I was going to show you the cafe lamp or nightstand lamp that I made when I finished it. I finally got it finished.
Nice. Beautiful.
Trying to find all the hardware for it. It came out kind of cute. And it looks pretty nice. It's kind of hard to show with a light on unless I flip the camera around, which I could do in a minute. But anyway, I've got a couple more. I'm going to pull this off of here. I think I'll try to flip the camera instead of trying to move the pieces. This is a, just look at my finger in front of the camera. This is a piece that I cut off of one of the big lampshades that I made. It's like 19 inches across. You're not getting a real good picture of it, but it's not too bad. It came out pretty nice. It's an end grain piece. It was
a little butterfly in it.
It was laying on the floor in the shop, and it was like 3 inches wide. So I went ahead and picked it up one day and said, maybe, and it came out pretty good. I had to go back onto the sanding a few times after I refinished it. One tip about doing something like that with a rim on it like that, if you do the rim with a flat rim on top of it, is on a piece of green wood like this was, when you get the rim made and get it flattened off, make sure you finish the rim before you go anywhere else. Don't try hollowing it, don't do anything. Finish the rim, sand it and everything, because if you don't, 10 minutes down the road, it's not going to be flat anymore because it's going to move and it bends around and not works too good. And anyway, that's that. And one more pedestal bowl. I don't know if I can get far enough back to show this one on the table.
Oh my.
The bowl itself is about 13 inches in diameter and about 8 inches deep. And the whole thing is about 22 inches tall. And it's still green. I'll probably leave it sitting on the shelf for 4 or 5 months. The bottom is a real heavy piece, so it'll take a while. I don't think it'll crack, but I go ahead and finish them so they don't dry out too bad. Then I'll worry about it later when I get going on it. But
That's beautiful, Terry.
It came out pretty good. It came out pretty good.
Is that one piece of wood?
No, I don't make them out of one piece of wood. It would be difficult, but it's the top is side grain. The bowl is side grain with the bark on the top. So it's the tree's laying on its side, and the pedestal is end grain. It's like a spindle. And I've made several of them, and that's how I usually make them is that way. I got a great big one that I made before that started this whole thing. It was a piece that I saw in a museum in Little Rock, Arkansas, and I started copying, trying to make something like it. And I wound up with a big one, and it's a little over 4 foot tall with a 24-inch bowl on it.
Oh my!
And, so it's come out pretty big. I was going to show that lampshade when it's turned on.
Very nice.
That's the lamp that I showed you. The other one's turned on too. I'm right around the corner. Let me walk in here and I'll show you the big piece that I started from, and then I'll let everybody else get on here.
Oh my!
Wow.
That's the piece I started from.
Cool.
I can't get back far enough to get it on there, but
we see it. Yeah, we see it.
It's a piece of oak that my neighbor's tree cut down. The bowl is right about 23.5 inches. I turned it over to bed, and I got a 24-inch lathe. And the pedestal is about 3.5 feet high. The whole thing's a little over 4 foot tall. And it came out really nice. That was like a 5-year project. I made that bowl and it cracked. And I didn't like it and threw it on the shelf for a while. And then I put it together. And then I saw that pedestal in Little Rock made like that, kind of. So I started to make the pedestal, and I didn't like it, and I threw it in the corner for a while, and then I broke it, and then I started it again, and wound up 4 or 5 years before it was complete. But anyway, that's what started it. I've made probably a dozen since then, different sizes. It's a neat little project. It's really pretty easy and pretty quick, making it out of the 2 pieces and just put a spigot on it and glue it together. And I don't do a lot of selling, but if you're selling and you got a table with that setting on it, I'll almost guarantee it won't be there at the end of the day.
Right.
So how are you connecting the 2 bits, Terry?
I got just put a tendon on the bottom of the bowl.
Okay.
And then drill a hole, a recess in the top. And what I do, I'll let it run for a while, I'll let it set for a while, and then I'll take and epoxy it instead of gluing it, just in case it tries to move a little.
Like a 1/2 inch spigot or something like that?
No, it's a little bigger. I use, like that one's over a 12-inch bowl, so the spigot's like a 1/2 inch long, but like 1 inch in diameter.
Gotcha. Thank you very much. Those are
give
awesome.
it some power. And then you can see I built up the bottom to give it a little more access. Actually, when I cut the spindle, it had a big break in the top, big fault in the top, a bark inclusion, and I got it a little too skinny trying to do it. So I put one more little ring on the bottom of the bowl to bring it out a little bit more. So it didn't look like it was sitting on a toothpick.
Very cool. Those
Nice
are great.
job, Terry. All right.
That is some beautiful work.
How about we go to
Okay,
Charlie Bundy?
take care. Thank you.
Thanks, Terry.
Thank you, Terry.
Hey, Charlie.
Charlie.
Yep, I'm here.
What you got
I'm
for us?
taking the spotlight off of Terry.
Yeah, I've had
Charlie.
problems in my shop.
Uh-oh.
I've only made one thing this week. I made a birdhouse.
And a nice.
That's nice.
It is.
That's nice.
That's a nice one.
The bottom is diamond willow, pine for the body, and fogwood for the top. I have no idea what it is.
Love it. Nice job.
That's all I got. Thank you.
Nice.
Beautiful, Charlie.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Nice
All right,
job,
how about-
Charlie.
How about we go to
Charlie, you just got a comment from Birdhouse Bob. Get Bob up here. There he is. What do you
Yeah,
think, Bob?
I thought that was a nice one. I like that natural edge on the roof.
I just bought a bag of birds, but I didn't have time to put one on it yet.
Well, you could put an ad on Facebook and tell them you're looking for a homeless bird that wants to live where you do.
There you go.
All right. How about Dave George? Where you at?
I'm right here. Can you hear me?
Where you at?
Hello?
There you are.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. I see.
Got you
Okay.
now, Dave.
Hope everybody's having a good night. Wasn't at the lathe for a while, but I got back to it again. It was kind of nice. But this here is just a shallow bowl that I turned, but it was laminated from poplar, and the middle band is actually it was like 1x6s that I had to laminate that way, then laminate it the thickness. And the middle one is, I think they call that rainbow poplar. It's like a chemical that changes the color. But it came out decent. I kind of liked it. Working on some lamination.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Thermally modified poplar.
What's that?
Thermally modified poplar.
Yes. And here's the one that I was trying to do some hollowing with a swan neck hollowing tool. I haven't done too much of that, and so I'm trying to work on that. But let me get it here. This here, the bottom part is maple with a little bit of spalting, the border, black border spalting in it, so I turned that separately, and then the top is walnut. And again, my hollowing, trying to, and I'll ask the question, is that on the inside with spalted maple, probably maybe part of the problem, but trying to get it sanded and smooth inside is difficult for me. So if any tips on that, I'd sure appreciate it. But then I turned the walnut top and a walnut finial. So I'm trying to practice on some finials to get them thinner. But this one, I was trying to look at the balance of the bowl and the top, and I'm, it's a work in progress. But I was real satisfied with how this turned out. Trying to get it to actually fit well and hold on.
Nice.
And come off kind of easy at the same time. So
What kind of finish did you use?
the finish, yeah, thanks for asking. I was watching Paul in the UK and on one of his demos, and he was using, I think it was called melamine lacquer or some kind. And so I'm trying to get that, but you can't get it here. So I ended up ordering, it's called guitar lacquer from Copper Color, I think, not Copper. I can't remember the brand name now, but it's the guitar lacquer. It's a different formula than your other type of lacquers like Rust-Oleum, and I really like how it goes on, and it really is easier and gives a great shine. And sometimes when I was trying to work with it, I'd spray it on too thick. I'd just take a rag and wipe it off, and I figured, well, okay, I'm gonna have to sand it back down. No, don't have to do that with this guitar lacquer. It just pretty well was just looked great. And I put a second coat on it, and it came out fantastic. So I'm pretty well sold on this guitar lacquer.
I like the finial. To me, it looks like a lighthouse. I like it.
Yeah. Thank you. That's a good point.
Yes, I like it.
Well, I started making a couple other finials today, and just practicing, trying to get different designs and you know how thick this is, get that thinner on the top of it, and but then after I made a couple of them, I figured maybe I ought to be making the bowls first that I'm going to put the finials on, because otherwise I'm going to try to design a bowl design to fit a finial. I think I have it backwards.
Well, that one looks really.
Whichever works for you.
Yeah, that looks really nicely proportioned. The finial with the bowl. Yeah, that looks good.
Very nicely proportioned.
Well,
there's some good suggestions in chat about sanding. What I do is I use I power sand on the lathe. I've got a corded drill on the lathe.
Okay.
And what I did is I bought a small, like a 6-inch drill bit extension.
Okay.
And then I put a sanding mandrel, like a 1-inch sanding mandrel on the end of that, and then cut little 1-inch sanding disc, and it'll go in my hole, and I can sand the bottom that way.
Yeah, because I tried to get my fingers in there, and
it's hard.
Yeah, it's hard. That's right.
And Norbert's dad is right here. He'll knock you in the head if you do that.
Yeah. I heard that. And I just told my wife, I think I have some thicker leather out there. I'm going to have to try that, but because I have, tried that with your fingers in there, it's hard.
Yeah.
So
Dean also has a sanding stick that's in chat that Bob Mansfield suggested. That's a good idea too. But that leather sounds like it would work. But the sanding mandrel thing is really good for getting the bottom.
Okay.
Where you can see it.
Right.
So that works for me. Yep.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that very much. I'll look in the chat for that too. So that's all I have, and I appreciate it. This is I always enjoy Wednesday nights.
Nice.
Welcome, sir.
Thanks, Dave.
For sanding the inside of vessels like that, sometimes I've got a piece of dowel, 3/8-inch dowel that's probably a foot long, and I cut a slit in the end of it. I fold over a piece of sandpaper and stick it in the slit. And there's a sandpaper is probably 5 inches wide.
Okay.
And so you stick it in the slit, put it in the drill, stick it in there, and you can sand the sides up, and you can go through all your grits and sand the sides up. Just using that drill and a dowel and folded up piece of sandpaper stuck in there.
Well, that's good. That's a good tip. I appreciate that very much, Billy. Thank you.
Good idea.
Not a problem.
Okay. That's all I have.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Dave. How about we go to Doug Miller?
Okay. Let's see. There we go. All right. Hey, guys. Couple of things. I think Billy, I looked up and there's Billy. I think last week I showed you a cherry bowl that I was going to do a yarn bowl with, but the wood wouldn't work with me. So I had to make a trumpet. And so this is the piece that I've come up with. There we go. Get it where the light is. You can see real nice piece of cherry, 8 inches by 4 deep. And it's not complete yet. I've got taped up and marked out, ready to cut it. So that's kind of the next day or two, what we're going to be working on.
Oh, cool.
Still have the tenon on it. Still got to do the inside, but I wanted to go ahead and get my J hook or Y hook, whatever that's called, get that cut out, and then I'll go ahead and complete it.
How are you going to cut that out?
Yeah.
What are you going to use?
That's a great question. I think I'm going to start with, I'm going to cut the hole at the terminal hole with a Fastener bit. And then I'm going to go from there to cut the thing out. I'm going to go from small to big. I'm going to use my jigsaw, I think. Probably get a fine bit, but this is still thick. You can see there, it's almost a 1/2 inch thick.
Yeah, you don't think
So
Jigsaw
I got
will be will beat it to death, break it?
I am working on a fixture to cut into bowls like that on my bandsaw. A guy by the name of Pat Miller on YouTube has got a real good video about how he does it. So I have most of my fixture built, but I'm not ready to show it yet. I'm sorry, Eddie. I did show a piece of that earlier, but
Go ahead. Go ahead. Pop up there, man.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get you up.
You talked about it last week. I'm excited about it.
no, it was 2 weeks ago. But yeah, I don't have
Oh,
it's
2
down in the
weeks, yeah,
shop.
okay.
So yeah, it's not ready to show yet. So I've been
Yeah.
real busy. I was turning all weekend for a demo at a tool store. So I haven't gotten to it. So
There you go.
hopefully, and then the bottom fell out of my weather, so it was snowing this morning, so I ain't going to my shop anymore until it's warm again.
Oh, come on.
More snow. Ugh.
I'm too old. 5 years ago I'd been in there with 4 layers on. If I feel it, man, but anyway, what I've done in the past, I've tried all kinds of different things, and the thing that worked the best for me, Dremel makes these little router bits, like a normal router bit, only they're 1/8 inch shaft, and they make a straight one. And that's what I used. It did an 1/8 inch at a time. And that gave me the best, cleanest cut was the Dremel you put the, I guess it's a router attachment or a tile attachment. It's a little sort of a cup thing that goes on the Dremel, and then an actual router bit. And that worked the best for me. But your mileage may vary.
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea.
Okay.
Yeah, I've used a jigsaw, and that was the next best thing.
Okay. Well, like I said, I'm going to start with the hole, the terminal hole. I'm going to go out from that, do one side and then the other. I've tried one before. The bowl was already thin, and I went from the wide part of the hook down to the terminal end, and it broke, it shattered. But this is thick, and I'm going to start from the small end and go out. So that might help.
Hey, Doug, while we
seeing
have
how it
you,
works.
we do tips and tricks here. That's what new feature we added to the program or the meeting weekly. Just so you folks know, tonight's tips and tricks is on YouTube under Doug's.
What are you
name.
talking about?
Didn't
Oh,
you save?
yeah.
Didn't you save something?
Okay, give me a bit.
Oh, hold on. I'm trying to. Doug, are you still here? Did I lose you?
I'm still here.
Okay.
No, I'm still here.
Didn't you save something and do a YouTube on it?
Yes, I did.
Right, that's our tips and tricks today, folks. If you want to see that, I thought I could do it, but where I moved my computer to, I don't have enough strength in here to do it. But that's a good way to save a piece. Doug gave you
Yeah, where I went through the bottom, and I added a piece to it basically. So yeah.
Yeah, and it came out nice.
I thought so.
Yeah. I've done that in the past and said, "Oh wow, why did I do that?" But then I got a little better at it. But you do know, Doug, and I think Terry, y'all both violated. I went to the manual. You both violated Rule 747A. You did, and if you don't follow our rules here, folks, Rule 747A, just to get the rules right, it's in the book, is the inside dimension shall never exceed the outside dimension.
Exactly.
It's in the rule book, yes. Terry, turn the light on a little bit sooner. But that happens, and we call it the funnel club. And I wish I could pop it up and make both you guys members of the funnel club. That's what, it's a funny thing. And isn't it heartbreaking when you turn a piece to a certain point, all of a sudden, what's that sound? and the light changes, and the edges start walking. Yep, 740.
I'd be willing to bet that everybody
I
in this meeting is a member of the funnel club.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I know that sound well. It scares me to death.
Mm-hmm. I didn't even have a sound. Mine was, I just saw a black spot show up all of a sudden. And it was during sanding. That was what killed me.
Yeah, I went through the bottom in a class at Aramont sanding. So it was just in the chuck. The bit that was in the chuck, there was a recess in the chuck, you know.
Yep.
Well, my favorite is when you go to sign your name on the bottom and the pencil goes through it.
I still have the cowboy hat I was turning. And just like Terry, I turned the light on. I'm turning and turning. I said, I wonder what that black ring is. You know, as I was turning the inside of the crown. Yeah, I know what it is. You know, if I turned the light on about a second more earlier, it'd been there. You know, I wouldn't have a hat with a hole in the top of it. It was a good conversation piece for a while. And you know, we're talking about turning the light on, and when you turn a light on, when you're turning something thin, or moderately thin, okay, you can see the changes in the material from the front edge or the lip going down to the base. And you'll see where that is, and you can guide your cutting by the light you see. And I want to talk about gloss range in a moment, but that's how you follow it. In the last 10 years or so, LED has become so great, so proficient, that now you can get an LED strip. And Cade Bolger showed us that, and I think a lot of folks have adopted them to go on your tool rest to shine inside. But make up another holder to go on the outside of the bowl and shine it from the outside for your thinning. I played with one here in the shop the other day. In fact, it was not an LED, it was a halogen or a small, well, it's right behind me, right there. It's that thing with the gooseneck on it. I picked it up at IKEA. And it's got a long rod and a gooseneck shine in. But it's a fairly cool heat. And the reason that some folks don't use a light bulb is an old incandescent would generate so much heat it would dry your piece out as you're turning. And as somebody explained a minute ago, when you're doing a flapping edge or a top edge, you make it flat and smooth, that it starts moving. It's because the moisture is changing. And with the moisture change, cells are changing, and the wood's taking a different configuration. It's losing it's losing the tension of the water that's in the material itself. And you're doing that with a light. A couple of tips, and I'm looking for open comments here, guys. A couple of hints was to take a spray bottle and spray it as you're working with it, and spray the inside, not the outside, because it's going to go through. Spray water on it. I do, or have done, a lot of cowboy hats, and after a couple of years of doing demonstrations on them, and you have to stop because it's about a 3 or 4 hour process to turn one soup to nuts. I would have a garbage can half full of clean water, and I'd pull the piece off on the chuck with the chuck on it and dunk it down into that barrel of water to take a break or eat lunch or whatever. And when I go back to it, it's wet. I had a guy one time say, why don't you just let it dry out? When it was in that bucket of water, that barrel of water, it didn't go crazy because it wasn't losing, I can't replace cellular water. It wasn't losing open cell water, and it wasn't moving, changing shape so much. Somebody just put, I wrapped the outside of a thin hollow foam with saran wrap to prevent the overdrying while hollowing, and it seems to work for Robert Hodge. You see, we all have ways. Saran wrap, wax paper, all that.
That will keep you dry too.
Oh yeah, I've had to turn in a mess. In fact, when I had a guy, I told him the tree had to be fresh, and this was Johnny up in Franklinton. I said that the log I'm turning his hat out, it's got to be fresh. They cut it down about 10 minutes before we went to do the demo, and when I was quartering it out to get it to shape, I'm thinking, this is going to be fun. I almost needed a snorkel.
Oh, you can always tell a guy that turns green wood. There's a stripe right across the ceiling.
That's when you want to keep that bed with a good coat of oil in it. Not
exactly.
I don't brag on the yellow and blue can, but you know, if you got a good base on your, everybody's got a good bed on the lathe. If you keep it protected with something, I'm talking protected, not lubricated, protected. I like the T9 by Boeing. I love it because there's 10 minutes after I spray it on, I can't get anything off. I can't get off on a piece of tissue. It's on there. It's worked in. Talk to one of our members who is turning on a Craftsman lathe that's got a single tube, comes out of the body, got a single tube that holds the tool rest and goes over to the tailstock. And he was showing me that he's getting a chatter on a lot of pieces. And I told him that his lathe was wearing out. Oh man, I can't buy a new lathe. I said, no, you flip it over and they have 4 screws holding that tube, a gear strip onto that tube. Replace those screws with a heavier gauge screw. If it's a 12, put a 14 in, etc., etc. Change them to another size screw so they don't walk on you. Your lathe is wearing out. The holes where the screws go are wearing out. And that'll remove that chatter or help you remove that chatter. But the pieces walk, and as you're turning, the little gear on the bottom is moving like this. And that is moving everything. In fact, if that's moving, your tailstock's walking because we're all connected on the same piece of same gear. The gear is only on there for your tool rest. I mean your lock. So just a tip when you're trying to save an old piece of equipment, save it and never ever ever throw it away. Who else we have for gallery tonight?
Yeah. How about Billy Burt?
Billy Burt.
Oh my goodness.
Billy Burt.
Can y'all hear me?
Up.
Yeah.
I can hear you.
Go ahead.
Well, my thing was up saying unmute. I decided to throw my hat into the birdhouse ring. I've been wanting to make some for some time, so I turned this little ornament. Whoa. And it's I thought I had better light than this.
Pull it back towards your face, Billy, because there it is.
Okay, the ornament itself is live oak, and the roof I think is red bud. It had a pretty good crack in it that I filled with some fine sawdust from my dust collector. A little plastic bird on it. One of the things that I liked about it was, I don't know if you can see how the angle of the roof is. It's not square. I kept it that way on purpose. I liked it.
I see. Yeah.
Got a small. Hey, look at there. I got a small little finial on the bottom. It's all one piece. I didn't put a separate finial on it. It's not as good a finial as I can do, but I enjoyed doing it. And I did it completely backwards. But it was my first, and I enjoyed it.
Looks nice, Billy.
Yeah,
nice. Very nice.
Yeah, it looks real nice.
Now I got a bunch of birds I got to do something with, so I'm going to make some more.
Very nice.
Birdhouse Bob, can we get a vote?
We may have to change the name of our club to the Birdhouse Club.
That's right. We need a birdhouse club.
Birdhouses.
Bob suggested that we start a new birdhouse club.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to Bob Moffett then.
Okay. Well, I got inspired by Paul's demo last week. I made a couple of boxes. That's a Brazilian cherry and maple and ebony. And then this one is zebra wood and maple and walnut. And then I've got a piece I made out of a cherry board, trying something different.
Oh, man.
Okay.
Very nice, Bob.
Wow. Sounded like an airplane propeller when it was turning.
I bet.
Right?
That's the back of it.
Cool.
Fine work.
Try something I've never done before.
I like the
Very
car
nice.
bits too. Those are cool.
You need to try things that you've never done before. Yeah, because my idea is it'll either work out or you'll never see it again. So,
Yeah.
But,
Nice job, Bob.
well, thank you.
Yeah. Hey, Bob, did you put a bird in each one of those boxes?
Good. I could do it that way. If I held it that way, I'd have me a perch.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bird.
Hold it like that.
Brenda, if he holds it that way, what's it look like? I got to go up to our art critic here, Brenda.
Looks like a birdhouse with a door.
Yeah, looks like Oh, goodness. How about we go to Harbor?
He's got a birdhouse, doesn't he?
He's got a birdhouse to show too.
Matt, jump up there, buddy.
I will. I showed this earlier, but this is I'm in the birdhouse club too. So this is one of the ones I did this weekend. This is hackberry and this is chokecherry. That's what it looks like from the top. So some pretty figure.
Very pretty.
The chokecherry is pretty too. Yeah, and you guys know I like the natural edge on stuff, so that's how it is. And the finial is just part of the bottom. So, and I'm using for the perches, I'm using just craft dowels that 1/8-inch craft dowels. So
You need to turn your perches.
Yeah, I've heard that, Bob. I've heard that. Seems like a lot of work, man.
Thanks, Matt.
Yep.
Let's see if we can find Jack Jeckler. Whoop.
Jack, holler.
Where's he at?
Okay,
There he
I'm
is.
on. Here I am. I'm unmuted. Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
We got
I
you.
don't see you.
There you go.
Yeah, he's there.
See me now? I'm talking. Hello, 1, 2, 3.
We got you, Jack. Go ahead.
Everybody's looking at you,
Okay.
Jack.
I just this is something I made. Our local club has a challenge for the club meeting this Saturday to make a gavel. So this is my version of a gavel.
Goodness.
It's made out of crepe myrtle.
Nice.
Really?
Crepe myrtle and gavel and the pad to hit it on. So this is the branch itself. Here we go. That's just the shape of the branch
Nice.
itself. So I took it all out of, this is all out of that one branch. Of course, the gavel head was the other direction, So it's just a gavel. And I don't have all the finish on it yet. The head is finished. Well, you can't tell it on there, but the head is a little bit darker than the handle because it has a finish on it. And I just use rattle can lacquer, def lacquer, gloss. This is the gloss lacquer. So that's my contribution. I haven't been on here very often lately because since the pandemic has let up a little bit, our choir started up again at church and our practice is on Wednesday nights. So I don't get to come on very often.
Oh, how dare they?
Yeah, they didn't want to move it for me.
Oh, how dare they?
Sing out a note a couple of times out of key, and they'll move.
And no, this one's, it's a small church and there's so few people that it doesn't matter.
We'll all sign you a petition.
Well, yeah, our mantra is make a joyful noise.
All right.
Thank you, Jack.
I have got something to show this.
All right, I'll take Jack.
I made me a little box too.
Hold on, Brent. We're gonna get you there. There you
You
go.
can see me. I can see me. You can't
I
see
got
me?
her.
We can see you.
Looks great, Brenda.
That's nice.
that?
What kind of wood is it?
Black walnut.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Let's see the inside of the lid again.
The inside of the lid, Brenda.
It's got a couple
Oh,
chips
yeah.
in it.
Nice.
Bottom turned out better than most of them do on me.
I see you running out.
There's a couple of holes in the
I
bottom.
can see myself in the side of that, Brenda.
Yeah, I love that side.
Yeah, very
That's
nice.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, and it matched up pretty good. It's not a tight fit. It wobbles, but that's okay.
They call that a lady fit.
Yeah, I like it. So that's what I did this week.
Very
Beautiful
nice.
work.
Thanks, guys. What else?
Looks good.
Who's up? That looks like Steve.
I
Yeah.
just want to show you my sea urchin Christmas ornament.
Oh, it looks good.
That's cute.
Cool, Steve.
That's nice.
Pull it back just a little bit. Pull it back just a little bit. There you go. Very nice.
Ooh, nice.
It's spalted maple.
Oh, nice.
Very nice.
Pretty, very pretty.
Thank you.
Those urchins make for a nice ornament. If you have any, we're not supposed to do this on gallery. Yeah, it's nice, but it's nice, really pretty. If you have a problem with the thinness of the urchin with fitting parts in, try blowing some foam in them. Spray foam.
Yeah.
Yeah, I use great stuff. I put a piece of masking tape on the inside and the bottom, and then fill them 3/4 or so, half full, 3/4 full of the great stuff, and let it expand through the bigger hole. And then I punched a little I got one here somewhere. Punched a little 1/8" dowel between the top and the bottom. So I don't know if y'all can see that. Let me do this. Let me add me here like that. So I got an 1/8" dowel that goes from here through the foam into this one, and then just drill a hole. So same sort of deal. And this one here is silver. I spray paint some of my urchins. So, but yeah, I'm with the gentleman who was just on, Steve.
So let me ask you, Matt, what do you spray paint that with?
Just airbrush paint, metallic silver.
Okay.
I'm using my airbrush. It's a very light coat.
That
Sometimes
sounds like
maybe
a good idea. I haven't done that, but I might try it.
Yeah, the golds and the silvers work real well. People like those. So your finial was spalted something, Steve. What was your finial?
Spalted maple.
Spalted maple.
That's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to. There we go.
It was spalted maple. You get it?
Got it, Matt?
Yep.
Yeah.
I have a lot of it.
It's very nice. I like that.
Thank you.
Was that your first one? Have you made a lot of them?
That's my only one.
Only one.
Oh, it's
Wish
Gonna
my
make no
first
more?
one looked that good.
It's off to a good start.
Hey, Matt.
Sounds like
Yeah.
he's giving up.
Yeah, I just noticed on your back wall, are those flutes, and do you turn flutes?
Yes, and yes.
Ah, cool. Yeah, I just started turning flutes and trying to the turning isn't the challenge, the tuning is the challenge.
Yeah, the tuning is the real challenge. So, yeah, I showed this one, I don't know, a month or two ago.
Steve.
Don't go nowhere, Steve.
We'll
Hold
let
on,
Steve in a
Oh.
minute, but this is a flute that I
Wow.
turned and decorated.
Wow.
Wow, pretty cool.
Nice.
Key of E.
Key of E.
So carving this guy was a lot of fun. So
Wow. So maybe is your information, if I can, Eddie, if I'm okay, I'm not off base here. If you're in the contact, Matt, I can contact you offline.
absolutely, I'm in
Okay.
there.
I just put my information in there too, because I wouldn't mind picking your brain on some of the finer tuning on the two sound holes.
Yeah, I'm not an expert at it, man. I gotta creep up on it like everybody else.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good.
I drill my first hole and then make it small and make it wider so I can get it
Yeah.
right. So
Okay. No, I'm glad that someone else is turning them because, like I said, I love turning and they're kind of fun instrument to turn too. So
yeah, and they're easy to play and it's cool. They're cool.
Yeah. So
I'm back. We're going back to Steve for a minute. He went and got a bowl to show us.
Yes. Show us that bowl you got, Steve.
I turned that ornament, and then I learned how to turn live edge bowls.
Ooh.
Back it up. There you go.
And the ornaments just went. I do
Now
like
you want bowls, right?
I do like live edge bowls. I have a little issue with sanding the inside of them, but it's getting better.
Yeah, nice.
And
That
this
is nice.
This is spalted
nice.
Maple that month and a half ago was out in front of the house.
Wow.
Very
And
pretty.
now it's a good tree. No. Anyway, thanks for
Fill
having
that
me.
thing full of candy.
Yeah, nice bowl.
Hey, Steve, let me throw a nickel in here. If you're having difficulty sanding the inside, and folks do that with something with a live edge, see if you can get a softer pad for your sanding disc, and try not doing it under power. Try to use motion of the bowl to do it, or free spinning. But a pad will conform and not grab those edges as bad, and then you
Or
can
the
knock
leather
out.
strip.
Pardon?
What about the leather strip like we were showed a little bit ago?
Yeah,
Softer than that?
Norbert had that, and I think it's great. But this is an irregular surface. I think if you're doing it by hand, the strap would be better. If you're doing it on a machine, that's going to be hard on your fingers. That's my opinion. I haven't tried that, but I have tried a pad without power. Just a nice soft one. In fact, I did a bowl that was about that irregular, and I had 2 or 3 of those soft pads stacked one on top of the other because they're all Velcro. Made a very flexible sanding surface, and it did do a lot of the irregularities, take care of them. But if you do create that pad, you can also power sand it with a drill, not a high-speed drill, remember low-speed drill.
Mm-hmm.
Power sand it with the drill, but don't turn the lathe on when you're power sanding. My opinion.
All right.
Use it to knock down the rough stuff, and then pull it all the way, crank up the lathe, and start going through your grits of paper to knock out those edges and get a smooth appearance. And you'll try it. That's all I'll say is try it. It's not the only way. It's one of the ways.
I will.
But it's one I kind of
You got a finish on that yet, Steve?
I usually just put 1 coat of linseed oil on everything. I just like the looks of it. I don't care for shiny at all.
Yeah, I like the shiny. That's fine. Yep.
Yeah, a lot of my customers
please
like
everybody.
The shiny, like the shiny. Yeah, but I hear you. I power sand. Like I mentioned earlier, is I power sand, and I use the sanding mandrels from Klingspor. They make these foam back sanding mandrels.
Mm-hmm.
I typically use a 2-inch one. If I'm going through the hole in a hollow form, I'll use the 1-inch one on a sand. But you can also, it'll go in my Fordham, so I can take the piece off the lathe and run it very slow, running the sanding mandrel very slow on the Fordham, and just hit the spots that I want to hit. Like Eddie was talking about too. So I do both.
Yeah. Yeah, the Fordham is a lifesaver sometimes. All right.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Steve. Beautiful
Good.
work tonight.
Yes.
I'll let you know how I make out with that softer sanding pad.
We want to
Yes.
know.
Stay in touch.
Yeah, I like the leather idea a lot. Would you guys, would it make sense that at some point in the future we do some basic, here's how I sand on the lathe kind of demos?
Yes.
Boring.
All right.
It's a 30-second demo, dude, and I can go through all 8 grits in 30 seconds. Okay.
Now, Yeah, you know, it's called the finish, and sanding is so important to the finish. A lot of us, we joke about it. In the beginning of the Bayou Wood Tourneys years ago, a guy said, I'm going to do the demo on sanding next week. Bring sandwiches. It's going to be a long one. It was always teasing, but folks don't understand how sanding works and what mistakes you'll make sanding that will come all the way through to your finish. And I've got a pen here on the table I did out of Southern Yellow Pine. And my wife said she liked the spiraling on the outside. That spiraling was caused by a piece of dirt on the sandpaper. As I went across for my, what I thought was my 400 pass, something was in there, and it burnished that piece of Southern Yellow Pine with sort of a swirl. She thinks it's gorgeous. Can I have more like it? I really hope not. But that was caused by a piece of trash on sandpaper. So I went from sanding to burnishing. And I've seen people do demos at clubs where they sand, so that feels really good. Look at their sandpaper and it's completely worn out. I mean, it's caked. That wood's not smooth from sanding. You just burnished it in. You just polished it in. And when you start with your finish, your sealer or your oil or whatever, the hair is going to stand up. Not that I know anything about hair. The hair is going to stand up, and then that starts impacting your finish. And if they say go back a grit, it's not going back a grit. It's going back 2, 3 grits, because you probably made that mistake 3 loads ago or 3 grits ago, and it's now popping to the top. So Matt, you teased about it, but sanding would be a great demonstration to show all the ins and outs, the gizmos and gadgets. And I probably have 10 different powered sanding devices in my shop, and grit from 1/2-inch disc to 4-inch disc. I don't get crazy with those 6-inch things. But people use all kinds of stuff.
I'm sure we all do it differently. Yeah.
Yeah, we all do it differently.
I think that'd be a great demo, because I always struggle with sanding. I hate sanding, and yet I've tried wet sanding. I've tried power sanding. Got different grits, and what to start with, what not to start with, and you think you have it great until you put a finish on it. You say, "Oh my gosh," and it comes right through. And so you either take it back off, or you just say you live with it, I guess. But so I think a demo, because I'm just learning by trial and error, actually.
Vince Welch, Vince's Wood Wonders, is a really good friend of mine. And okay. I'm going to contact Vince and see if he'll do a non-commercial sanding explanation for us.
I think that'd be great. I appreciate that.
Non-commercial, because
I think we could all benefit from it.
Good demonstration on that too. Vince is very good at that demonstration.
Yeah, yes.
He really is.
Eddie, I just put up a link to a pneumatic random orbit sander like the one that I use for sanding live edge bowls and unconventional edges where I can't use my inertia sander. I really prefer an inertia sander, but when I can't do that, this random orbit sander sands very nicely without any scratches or anything, as long as you go through the grits well. And I've had really good luck with it.
It's pneumatic.
It's pneumatic. It uses a 2 or a 3-inch disc. It comes with both, and I use the 2 almost always, but it works very nicely.
Can you go low speed, or is that to run it? Some of them only run it 15,000.
It goes as fast as far as you pull the trigger. But I put a small. I keep my compressor at full capacity, but I put a small regulator. You can get them off of Amazon or someplace, but I put a small regulator on the bottom of it. Yeah, Harbor Freight has them too. I put a small regulator on the bottom of it, and I sand it at probably about 40 PSI is what I've got running to the tool itself. and it will go as fast, or the trigger determines how fast it goes. So you can go fast, slow, whatever.
Billy, will this one, if you don't have any air in it at all, will this one rotate like an inertial sander?
Yeah, I believe it does. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I got a Harbor Freight one, and I use that as my inertial sander too. It's pretty much the same thing,
Right.
only Harbor Freight version, and it's pneumatic. And
Yeah, I love that little thing. I really do.
Okay,
I got a
here's a
visitor. I
piece
don't
of
know if y'all
advice.
can see my visitor here.
Yeah.
I'm big time. Yeah.
Piece of advice: if you're going to use that as an inertia sander, cover the hole that the air would go into. That piece of advice, because if the trash from the inertia goes in that hole, it doesn't like, the sander doesn't like it. It really doesn't. You think it'll just blow
Right.
it out. Well, it has a turbine, and you know, the more they wear, the worse they get.
Yeah, I don't use mine as an inertia sander. I have an inertia sander, but I just use it under power all the time.
Yeah, I've got some really cheap ones from Harbor Freight that I never put air through. I've used them as inertia sanders since the day they were bought, and it worked out nice. And I started building my own. But it's, you know, we just said inertia sander just now. We're talking about that, and that was one of the topics I had up here tonight. Novice turners are kind of saying, all right, what's an inertia sander? And I can't find them in a catalog, or go to such and such and get this. A wire burner. What the hell is a wire burner? We are developing, and well, Dave Rhodes is developing a glossary of terms and an explanation of what we're talking about. Yeah. So if somebody would write up a description of what is an inertia sander, and what the goods and bads are, we can send it to, you can send it to Dave through our website, and we'll add it to our glossary, or whatever you want to call it. But we had somebody the other day ask me about a box SKU. They want to build a box SKU. What would I recommend? Or buy a box SKU. And I said, okay, you got a Harbor Freight tools? Oh yeah. Cut one up and make a box SKU out of it. Cut it down on a slight angle, square the tip, put a round on the corner, and when you sharpen it, that's what you do, and you got a box screw. Now, you don't hollow with a box screw, at least now I wouldn't. But when you have it all hollowed out and you want to clean that edge and straighten out that side, that's what you use, and you're using a tool that you weren't using or able to use before, or it's left over. Don't throw tools away, please. But you could build, you know, some of these tools. The inertia sander, you can build it with a bushing and a bearing. And I've got them here that are probably 25 years old, and they've been under flood water and everything else. You can't kill them. You just can't kill them.
Is a box SKU the same thing as a flat edge scraper?
No, I wouldn't think that'd be no. I think a flat edge scraper would be just flat across the front bow of it, across the bow. Squared off, flat edge, sharp corners. Where a box scraper is the sharpened down the side. It's relieved 5, 6, 10 degrees.
Oh, I got you.
And when you pass it down the side, good demo, pass it down the side of a piece, you clean it up and straighten it out. With a box scraper, that's a little bit harder. It can be done.
Yeah, I got
a little bit harder. But when you get this thing going, you realize the inside gets smoother. We talked about sanding and problem sanding. The better cuts sand the best, and the better cuts are slices. And you can get that sometimes with a scraper. If you learn how to use it, that's the key. If you got anything else to share tonight, we're sticking with the gallery. Martin Clarkson was going to do a demonstration for us. Gallery's going so well. Martin jumped in the back seat and said, I'm going to sit here for a while and enjoy this and see what art you guys come up with. And after all, Martin's on a break. You spent 17 hours last weekend raising money for the Ukraine folks, and there's programs where you can contribute to that right now. Martin took all those turned to pieces and sold them. He had help. He had Cade helping him. He had Matt helping him. He had some of our other members jump in and help him. All of us trying to do a little something for others. That's what would turn us do the best. Remember, if you turning wig stands, Joe Klein's in the back today, I think. Joe Klein just, I saw him post up a drawing of a wig stand, sort of like a schematic or a plan, and to give you an idea. And get this, you don't have to follow any patterns for them. There's some standards of where, you know, we really need them to be this tall and this big around and be able to stand up and have a finish that'll hold up if somebody puts a damp wig on it, a damp wig. They just washed it. It's like washing your hair. You know, you have to clean them. You put it there to dry off. Or just be overnight. You don't want to trap moisture. So make a wig stand, contact your local oncology group. We've had members on the show on a meeting say, I contacted mine and they said, we don't need them, we don't want them, or whatever. Branch out a little bit. I have a hospital's probably 80, 90 miles away. They have employees where I live at. They're willing to come by and pick up things we make for them. My wife makes quilts for them, and they come by and get these quilts, blanket quilts, knee quilts, bedding, pillows, pillow covers. She's got a project right now to distribute 1,000 pillow covers, and I think she made most of them.
Wow.
Yeah, she had a stash of fabric that'd make fabric stores blush, and that's her goal. She doesn't sell a single thing that comes out of that studio, and so I live like a pauper.
Smart looking quilt hanging back there behind you.
Oh yeah, that's one from one of the clubs she belonged to, and that's supposed to be changed out for one with more wood tones in it. That's a great sound deflector. If the shop's all hard surfaces, it's terrible for echoes. So that slows it down a little bit. That's why I do a lot of my production in the background.
Hey, Eddie,
what you got, Brenda?
Well, I've been kind of wondering about John Brown. Has anybody seen John Brown lately?
No.
I've not seen him on here for a while.
No, and I think Dane was going to try to call him. He had his phone number.
Okay.
We mentioned John a couple of weeks ago. Let me say something too. We have this thing with co-host. Right now we have Brenda, Dean, Doug Miller, Martin Clarkson, Matt Harbour, and a few others acting or helping with co-hosting. Those are not appointed positions. Those are all volunteers to this organization. Everybody is. But the co-host help with Brenda handles the gallery tonight. So if you have something to show, you pop it in and put it on the gallery, and we'll look at it, talk about it, come up with it. You got a problem? We'll talk about it. But that's one of our demonstrators. Our co-host is handling that. Another one's watching the sound and changing. When you talk about showing something tonight, if I said Matt Harbour's got something to show and Matt starts talking, the co-host can see Matt's screen light up, and we go to Matt and spotlight him and put him on. Now if Matt just says, I'm here, nothing else, we have like 90 people to look at on the screen to find them. And it's not always an easy task. And folks think, well, I got skipped. I did this, and when you came to me, you cut me off. We didn't cut you off. That may have been purely accidental. But if you go along with the program, and then go along is when we introduce you, start talking. Say, yeah, I have a piece and I want to show it tonight, et cetera, et cetera. We'll find you, highlight you, and you'll be on the screen. Now, all the speaking you do is already there. We have to highlight that. And that's another thing. Some folks believe if I click my mic on, and then it get clicked off because you don't want to hear from me. That's not the truth at all. Sometimes we get some background sounds from people who have the TV on in the background, or somebody tonight had the wife talking. You can't fix the wife thing. The TV, turn it down. But if you have we have some background sounds coming through demonstrations. We would like to eliminate those sounds. So some of our co-hosts go click, 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 and turn off the open mics. It's not that we don't want you to talk. It's just that the mic is left open. We get the background, and we prefer not to have it, as I said. So you never eliminate it. If you do a commercial, we do have the button. We will cut you off. No commercials. One way or the other, good, bad, or indifferent. And a little while ago, I said we're going to ask Vince Welch to do something on sanding because he knows sanding. He doesn't sell things he doesn't know about. He just understands sanding. And I've had folks say, I use the blue. Another guy said, I use the brown. And the guy said, I use the stuff with holes in it. How much do you want to pay for your sandpaper? Where you want to get the best? It might not make me a good guy in some people's eyes because the best makes a little bit more money than some. But we're going to do that. And the same thing happens with other tools and events. As long as we don't go commercial, we're going to go there. We've been talking the last couple of weeks about drilling. Somebody says something about drilling through something because the bit slipped or whatever. I had a message. It was on here in chat last week about drilling. Can we explain drills and what's the difference? He's got a whole box of drills he got at Harbor Freight, and he's always had this problem with splitting and cracking and all. So we want to explain the physics of a drill. It's not all the same. In fact, none of them are the same. So we'll try to get that lined up for you to show you something about drilling, because the worst thing you can do is drill wrong, overheat the piece, and blow it out. That's why I'm always saying don't go to a forstner bit, unless your forstner bits are good grade and you only use them on your turning, nothing else. Doug Miller says he's got an upcoming project he'd like to share the information on. Doug, what do you got?
Sure. Here we go. All right. We go every once in a while to a restaurant that is also tied to a kind of a flea market, kind of a shop, a thrift shop of sorts. And we were walking through there a couple of weeks ago, and I ran across this. I don't know how well you can see the wood. That's a burl, top to bottom. The turning on it is not spectacular. It's got these transitions right here. They're not sharp and crisp. Just a couple of things that I think I can straighten up and clean up. Just to clean the wood up would make a major change to it. But I picked that up for a song, and I can triple or quadruple the money that I paid for it. So that's kind of a tip. Go through those thrift shops in your area, pick up things like that are being sold for next to nothing, and make a couple dollars on it, or give it as a gift to somebody. Those are pepper mills are the thing right now, and so you can pick them up for a
piece of walnut burl too.
It might be walnut. It didn't say. I just know it's burl, whatever kind of burl it is. It is a pretty piece of wood.
It looks
sure is. It looks too dark to be walnut.
Well, it's not the best. Here we go. That's better light.
Oh, okay.
Oh, may not be walnut.
It's pretty.
It might even be bird's eye maple with stain on it or something. But you're right. It's sure pretty.
It is pretty.
No, there's no stain on it.
Okay.
There's no stain on that. I've looked on the inside. It's the same color on the inside.
Well, Jerry,
it feels like it's got a little bit of wax on it, or maybe some oil, but it's not much. Whatever it is. Let's see. There's a little bit of red right there. See that red?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
It is awfully bird's eye though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
It
very
is
burly
gorgeous.
anyway. But anyway, like I
Well,
say, I'm
yeah.
going to clean that up. I'm going to straighten up. Like there's two of these, and it looks like they just stuck a parting tool in there and didn't take the curve all the way down to the bottom of the the part line. So I'm going to clean that up, clean the wood up, put a nice finish on it. I can at least double, if not, I can double it immediately, but I could triple or quadruple my money easy on it.
I look forward to
didn't pay
seeing
that
what
much
you do
for it.
with it. Look
Yeah,
forward
I'll
to
show it
seeing
in a couple of weeks when I get it done.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, can't wait.
That's beautiful.
That's a great tip for all of us, just to keep our eyes open for things that we can redo, improve them, and maybe make $1.
Yeah.
Or give it away as an awfully nice gift.
Yeah. Thank you, Doug.
Thanks.
Appreciate you sharing.
Thanks,
that.
Doug. How about we go to Bob Mansfield?
Bob, you got something to show tonight, Bob?
Yeah, here we go. I'm kind of like Doug. You know, Doug got into these several months ago, but there's another platter I made. Just trying
I love
different
that.
styles.
That's
I kinda like
gorgeous.
that.
Cosmic Cloud with the iridescent paint, eh?
Yeah, that's what that
Very
is. Sure makes some pretty colors.
Man.
This
Sure
this
does.
one was just made out of pine. I just I don't like to pay a lot for wood, so that's a cheap way to do it.
Gorgeous.
Very nice.
2-6. The other one I like that color, but I still like the one I did last week.
Bob, did you air spray those paints, those iridescents on? Did you
Yeah,
airbrush them on?
these are with an air gun. You come
Okay.
back and
Yeah.
spray them. Spread them out.
Right.
This one here was a different technique that if I can get the light on it right, but I really like it. And this was a saran wrap. You put the paint on there, and then you put a piece of saran wrap over it, and press it down, and then pull it back off.
Cool.
Very cool. Very cool.
Different techniques.
Yeah.
That's the reason I wanted to do another one.
That
Very
plywood?
nice.
Yeah, this one's plywood. Yeah,
Yeah, cool.
this is great. But it turned out really good. It gives it a different texture look.
Wow.
Sure does. Very
Bob,
nice.
didn't you have one with a black insert? You painted the interior black.
It was this one, but when you come back and you turn it back out again.
Oh, okay.
I had it all black. I sent in a couple of pictures, and it was the stages going through it. And you paint the whole thing solid black, and then you come back and put your paint on and do the different stages. But anyway, it turned out real pretty. The other one that they do is that string art stuff. The one Doug did one of those, and it's real pretty. But I haven't figured out how to make it look good on a bowl or a platter. It does real good on flat work, but I'll have to keep looking.
I could show you.
Nice.
Okay. You might show
What
us one
did
of
you
yours.
use What did you use to finish the top?
It's lacquer.
Make it shiny.
Oh, you mean the colors or the?
No, the final finish over the top of the colors.
Yeah, that's just rattle can lacquer. That's Rust-Oleum lacquer.
Okay.
But they turn off
Very,
real
very
nice.
nice.
I see a bird and a flower and a leaf. And
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, there's all kind of
maybe
stuff.
bass. It looks like a bass.
Yeah, you can see where you put that saran wrap on here, and then you just kind of turn it with your finger and makes it swirl, But different ones, different things. That's on the other one. This one here was strictly an airbrush. You put little dots and you blow the stuff out. You blow it out and make it thin. But anyway, it's different. There's different techniques. It's I was just trying them, see what they look like, but they're pretty. Wall
Nice
hanger.
job, Bob. Nice job.
Great stuff.
Yeah, thanks. I think they turned out good. That's
All
it.
right.
That's all I got, guys.
Let's go back to Matt Harbor then. Whoops.
Go back to Matt.
Did you have something else, Bob?
No, that's okay. I'll do it some other time.
No, Bob, we got you, bud.
Okay, I was I was thinking about tips. you know, not everybody probably already knows this, but you know, as far as you can't hardly beat the Johnson's paste wax for your tools, keeping them, you know, from rusting, making things slide on them, making the, you know, even when you use a screwed chuck, you know, if you put a little paste wax on there, it makes them thread in a whole lot easier and unthread easier. You don't have to have a wrench to try to take them apart. But Johnson's or any type of paste wax, but Johnson's is, everybody's got that somewhere.
Does work.
That's it.
Really does work. Thank you, Bob. Great tip. Boy,
Thanks, Bob.
A lot of tips
Yeah,
happening
thank
here
you.
tonight. Now we'll go back to Matt. Oh, over to Matt.
All right, this is this piece here. This is maple, and it uses the Krylon marbleizing paint. It's a square box.
Oh, cool.
So this is silver on black. Looks pretty cool.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, but that's kind of how you do with the string stuff. Is you just do it comes out like the string does out of a spray bottle, and you just or were you talking about the string pulls?
No, it's a string pull art. You know,
I got you. Okay.
You know, several
Different
people
thing.
have done it on here before. It's just I can't figure out how to get it to go around that platter very pretty. So I'm still looking.
There's a video online that shows you how to do that. There's somebody was doing it with the platter. So yeah. So and this is a Manta Ray Bowl. Okay. So I don't know if you guys can tell, but I've got one that's down and one that's up, or 3 that are up. So in the techniques I've done on this one here is it's textured with like a Dremel, and then sprayed with red, and then painted black gesso over top, and then I take a Scotch-Brite pad and rub the black gesso off. And I don't know if y'all can see that, but the red will come through. And it's pretty cool. And on the back side, I did the same thing, only with different textures. Or you could use, it doesn't have to be gesso, it can be black milk paint. So this is done with like just square bits carved this way. And then you spray it with the red, the chestnut spirit stain red. And then you paint a heavier black paint over it. It could have been black milk paint. But that's a really neat effect. And then I did one more, also a Manta Ray Bowl. This one, I was trying to get a sort of a hammered gold look on it, a hammered metal look on it.
Mm-hmm.
So I used the spear bit to carve the points, and then I sprayed it with black spirit stain again, and then I did a technique they call dry brushing with gold metallic paint, where you get it a little bit on your brush and then wipe it off so your brush is almost dry, and you just go over the top of the surfaces so it highlights the textures and so on. And then in the bottom, so this was a lot of fun. It turned out exactly how I wanted it to turn out. And in the bottom, I had a little bit of tear out, so I did some more carving and then burned it. So
neat.
Oh,
nice.
That effect is
wow.
Those couple pieces that show a whole bunch of different techniques. I really like the Manta Ray Bowls where you got one side up and one side down. That one's down. So
How
that's
in the world
fun.
would you do that?
You do both sides, and then you get out your Fordham and carve one of them away.
Okay.
So
Okay.
when I've done turn, the hard part is getting them thin enough and not breaking them off. So what you get is you get two sides. When you're done turning, you've got two bits of it. So you got one this way and then one this way, and a V groove between them. And then you get out your Fordham and say, okay, I want this one up. I carve the down one off.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then you got to get creative here with the carving to make the transition smooth.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that
Good.
makes sense, but
Nice
it
job.
takes a little bit of work, but it's a really neat effect. Everybody's like, "Did you bend that?" No.
Should tell them yes.
Hey,
You buy
Matt.
it was made. Yes, sir.
A question on your flutes. Do you glue the two halves together after hollowing it out like with a router bit, or
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, that's how you do it. Okay.
They're square pieces. See, I think I got one here. You can actually see the groove. Yeah, maybe not. Yeah, but the way they're made. Oh yeah, here it is. I don't know if you can actually see it. The transition line is right there. They're made in two halves. You got a top half and a bottom half.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is literally the first flute I ever made that I got in tune correctly. And so you've got a channel. You use a router with a what do they call those? The half ball bits.
Yeah.
The ball bit, and you carve out the flute on the bottom, and then a little bit of the sound chamber here, and you do the same for the other side. And then you carve the little sound hole here, and there's another hole underneath the block.
Yeah, I understand the principles on making it. I'm just starting to get into it. And it's, I think it's a fantastic thing to get into.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah,
they're fun.
Thanks, Matt. Well, we ain't got no gallery.
I'm a fan of Key of E, so this one is also Key of E. So yeah. My favorite part about the Key of E is they're all whole notes. There's no sharps or flats. E minor. E minor.
Brenda, you can bring me back up if you want to, and I'll show you something. Can you find me?
Right. Yeah. Oh, got Susan instead.
Can you find me?
Yep.
Still looking?
I got you.
I don't know. No, I'm not up there. Now
I see you.
We were talking before, talking about the bowls in the bottom. I just wanted to run this by you. A lot of people look at it and they kind of get scared. It's one of my favorite tools. It's a bottom feeder. It's a deep fluted 7/8 inch shaft. And it's quite long, and it's really nice because a lot of times when you're working on a bottom, you can't get the tool rest as close as you would like. And that 7/8 shaft is really stable. And it's a real shallow ground. It's like a 65-degree grind on it. And it's almost straight across the front. It's got a little bit of a taper to it. And it's got a pretty long handle on it. You don't necessarily need one this extravagant. But when you're working on the bottom of a bowl, this thing is just unbelievable. I've handed it to people that have been turning for years and years, and they look at it and go, what is that? And you take a pass at it, and you can keep it on the bevel all the way across the bottom without getting any vibration. And you can pick up a shaving with it that is small as looks like little hairs coming off of it. And you can come around the bottom and keep the same contour all the way across the bottom of the bowl to the center. And it's not good for much other than just the bottom feeder. But the way it's ground is more important than the size of it. If you can get close to the bottom of your tool rest, you can use it. But if you can keep it down a little bit and come around. But if you've got any old, pretty deep fluted bowl gouges and they got enough length left on them to use them, this real shallow grind on it will make a wonderful bottom feeder, and you'll really be surprised. Joaquin has kind of got me working with scrapers, and they do a nice job. But I've always been afraid of them. Somebody would hand me a scraper, and I go, what's that? And I was always into shearing and shear cut with everything that I'm doing, and I just got really used to it. But both of them are really good ways to get a real nice smooth cut on the bottom. When you come across the bottom, to eliminate a lot of your sanding problems is getting a nice cut. And another big thing about it is what everybody has trouble with, I'm sure, and I still do, is making sure that you've got a smooth transition going all the way across the bottom. If you don't, and you use any kind of a gloss finish, it's going to pick up right on that curve every time. And that's where your eye is going to go every time the light hits it. If you come down and you got a little bump in it, it don't take much of a bump, just a little bitty bump. And everybody knows
the way all mine are.
Yeah, but like I say, you don't have to have it. This is a pretty expensive tool, and there's other ways to do it. And there's a smaller one. Be nice if it was like a 5/8 or something with a deep flute, and put that grind just on that tool, not one of your special tools. It don't have to be great. You're not going to use it for hours and hours. You're just going to use it to clean
like a
that up
roughing
after you
gouge.
get to the bottom. It's not like a roughing gouge at all. You can take such a fine shaving with it because you can control it. With the straight bevel on it, with a 65-degree cut on it, you can come down and leave it on the bevel all the time when you're coming around the bottom. After you've already cut the bowl, when you want to smooth it out, you can come in and you can just come right across the bottom of it, and you can control it so well that you can shave all those little high spots off. And with a large bevel on it, it just feeds right along and nice, and you'll make a couple of passes and all those marks will be gone. And it's really a good tool. Like I said, Joaquin's got me into kind of using a big half moon scraper. It's like a whole inch long, and it's teardrop kind of thing. And used properly, it does a nice job. I was really surprised. So we're kind of passing back and forth with how we do it. But both tools do a very nice job at getting a nice smooth bottom without getting any humps in it. And,
Terry?
Yes.
Let's try that.
All right, Terry, I'll throw a nickel on the table here. That is a good way to eliminate what I call the bottom cone. I've seen some really beautiful work, and you look down in them and you can see it sweep down to almost a funnel. And I've talked to guys, well, that's what happens when I make this pass or that pass. I can't bend my gouge to do that sweep. I hadn't learned how to do a sweep and cut with one. And then, what can I do? And they go into a scraper, and the scraper's not built right, working right. It'll tear. Well, what Terry's got, you can control a slice. He described it exactly. You can roll it up, and you'll learn how to do that slice and cut. Now, don't go turn a 12-inch bowl or a piece like Terry turns, those super thin lampshades and all. Don't go do that. Chuck up a piece of wood, junk wood. I gotta be careful how to set up the price of wood today. Chuck up a piece of wood on the face, right in front of your truck, and then practice with that to do that cut. And you will find that you don't need to sweep back or sweep down or over and all this stuff. You don't have to do all those motions. You learn how to bring that tool down, give it a kick, and walk it. And it walks. It won't eat the whole time. It'll clean it all up. Terry, that's what you exactly designed.
That's exactly what you're doing. If you're using a bowl gouge with a 40-degree grind on it, it's almost impossible to come across the bottom with it on the bevel. You're out in the air. You're just guessing. You're just taking it easy and going because you can't keep it on the bevel because you're too deep. And
now there are commercial bottom feeders.
That's what this is.
Now I've got one too here that I could show.
Who's that? I'm going to get out. You come in with it. Hold on.
And they cost a fortune.
Yeah.
What are we looking for?
Gary in Oklahoma, I've got one that I was using today. This is a Thompson bottom one. It's the 5/8. It's got a 55 grind, and I don't know if I can really even show it to where you can see it. I've got a secondary grind on it, and this is what I was making today with the bottom, and it sure is nice. You go into the sides with your regular bowl gouge, and then this sweeps across the bottom, and it just makes it smooth as a baby's bottom.
You turn that today, and you use that tool we're talking about?
Yes. Yeah, that's what I was doing.
Where else can you get this at, huh? Okay.
I wasn't going to show these things because they're not finished yet, but I'm making a whole bunch of them, and it was sure nice though using that to get that bottom, because you can get right up to the edge. As I say, I'm not sure with the lighting
we
and
see
all
it.
that.
Right there.
You can get right up to the edge and then just come straight across. And I found that if you get your rest at the right height, it just goes right through the center, and it takes that little center nub right off too, to where I was just going from the edge straight and then just beyond the center, and it just kept it all just perfectly flat all the way across. So
What was the tool you used?
it was from the Thompson, all the different Thompson tools. And it's one of them that I use, slip into my handle that I showed before. And, but yeah, it was like $90. And I think now it's even over that. I think they've gone up too with the cost of everything, but that's where I got this one from.
Of course.
Thank you, Gary.
Eddie,
Thanks.
Eddie, if I
Mom.
remember right, isn't that the design that almost all bowl gouges came in for a while?
Yes. Yeah,
That's what I
first
thought.
bowl gouges
Yeah.
I got looked just like that.
Yeah, until the sweatbacks became so popular, and then everybody switched to that. But this design on that of a bowl gouge is a wonderful design if people will just practice with it a little bit.
And it's so easy to sharpen because you put it in the same position. You set your rig, you put it in the same position.
Just
you
roll
sharpen
it.
It's one twist, and you sharpen. And if you're doing it like Gary had a sweatback, you just have a second pocket, move it up, and do a sweep, and it's done. The second grind is never as critical a dimension as the primary, and the primary is the only thing that cuts. So, but they're nice. I've got one I picked up in an AAW probably 10 years ago. And this tool maker, I guess he jumped the business, they jumped out, or they fell out. But, it was a pretty good tool. Those can be made out of older shop tools that you have. It's a matter of grinding and adjusting what you do to the grind. Bob Moffat's got a tool he has. He's made. He wants to show that. What'd you have, Bob? Bob, you got to talk to
You're
us.
muted, bud.
We had to get together to club them and they had some old tools that they were selling. Okay, they had some tools that they were selling for $1, and so I took one of them, and it was a 1/2-inch scraper, and I cut the handle off of it, and cut a groove, 1/8 of an inch in this end and a 1/4 inch in this end, and I use that for making tendons, and they'll fit right every time. So Matt, if you want to make a purchase for your birdhouses, you can make something like this. But it was
I've got a package of those 1/8 inch craft dowels that's got like 50 of them in there. I'm not going to be making my purchase.
Supply. But like I said, this was an old tool that they were selling for $1, and I just cut the handle off and made what I wanted out of it. Works
That's a great
fine.
idea. That's a great idea.
You guys are so creative.
I was using a 1/4 inch wrench. That works great for the 1/4 inch, but you can't find it. I hadn't been able to find an 1/8 of an inch wrench to make one out of. So
Yeah, I got one of those 1/4 inch wrenches myself, using it for the exact same thing.
But
All right.
that's what I got.
Nice job, Bob.
Now you guys open the door, okay? You open the door a little bit. You said about the wrench. For novice turners, what do you mean use the wrench? You can make a tenon tool out of an open end wrench. Now, don't cut your good ones. Don't ruin your Craftsman wrenches. Go to Harbor Freight and get
Your
a
local
set.
pawn store.
Pawn shop, that's right.
Yep.
Pawn shop or garage sales. And
That's
I
where
like
I went
to
with the
get
pawn shop to get mine.
Yeah.
Paid a $1/4 for it.
That's exactly what I did, and that's what I get where I got mine, and that's exactly what I did too.
At a garage sale, I picked up a whole string of open-end box wrenches all kinds of sizes and triples and doubles of them. And what it made, the cool thing was the loop was where I could run a wire through to keep them all bunched up in one place instead of thinking, taking it out to adjust the lawnmower. And you sharpen it a certain way, you roll the top off and all. But they cut so well that if you match it up with a Forstner bit for doing tenons, and this 1/4-inch wrench fits this 1/4-inch Forstner, and they go together, because there's variances in manufacturing, and they go together. I mean, you can drill one and tenon the other and put them together, and you're not fighting it. You're not fooling with calipers and worrying about sizing and everything else. It's pretty simple. We're going to have a demonstration on that and several other things. If we can fit them in. We're sticking with the gallery tonight. Dean, is that right? Dean, you still with us? Dean.
Yeah, I'm with us.
Okay, you said somebody said you have a video on making a wrench cutter?
Yeah, I did a video doing the 3/4 inch when we were doing all of the wig stands, or I was doing all the wig stands just to make it quicker and easier. But yeah, you can go to Dean's Woodworking on YouTube, and there is a video on turning a wrench into a tenon cutter.
Okay, thank you. And Novice Turners checked it out. That's one of the reasons we're here, is to share that kind of stuff with you.
I'll see if I can find it and post the link there.
Okay, great. All right. It's a simple project that you can turn. And I had a Craftsman lawnmower going tractor, and to get to to take the bowl off the carburetor, you couldn't get to it with a regular thickness wrench. You had to thin the wrench down to get it to slide up in the spot. I guess they made a tool I didn't buy. And I found out later on, and I got a 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch tenon, only 1/8 of an inch wide, so I could go in and size it with that one. That was before I found out about putting a cutter on it or cutting it, or I was doing it wrong or whatever. But I love it. It's still around. I had somebody, well, when my shop went down, folks were picking up stuff in the yard for me, and that it came back in a bucket, of stuff. Some of my stuff went 4 or 5 houses in all directions. I saw a lady walking her dog the other day, and she was tapping on his butt with a little red dowel, a 1/2 inch dowel that was stained about 6 inches long on one end. And I said, "Where'd you get this?" And she said, "Oh, I don't know. I came out my yard one morning, it was laying there." So one of the dowels out of my shop. Nice, I could share some of this stuff with folks. And my roofing was 4 doors down. All right. If you got something to show tonight, Steve said I have a tool I made to repair spigots on twice turned bowls. Steve, are you there? Can we talk about that?
Sure. I'm here. Can you find me?
Yeah, there he is.
Yeah.
Let me spotlight you.
Okay, so when you do a twice turn bowl and you put a spigot on the bottom or a tenon and you let it dry, it's going to warp. So when you want to put the bowl back on that's got a spigot, you need a tool that'll reach in to cut the inside of the spigot. That it's difficult to do because the tailstock's in the way. So I found this, and I made this, and so it just goes in up against the bowl, and then I pull it to me, and it cuts the inside of the spigot. Got it?
Yeah.
Clear as mud?
There was a version of that.
Yeah, those work good.
Yeah. there was a version of that
Genius.
type tool available a long time ago. I don't have one. I have a scraper I modified to do that, just like you have there.
All
And
right,
that's
yeah.
good. And that's good steel. It'll hold a good edge.
Yeah. I like
know-
tools with two uses.
Yeah. Now, Steve, you do know that there are children out here in this world that will never know what that is or how to use it.
Yeah.
A lot of adults too.
Yeah.
Yeah, adults. Yeah.
Well, anyway,
My tire
that's it.
I got a problem. My tire went flat, and I don't have that number for AAA. I have a good friend that operates one of those AAA type things where you call and they come out and fix things. He could write a book with the stories that he's experienced over 20, 25 years. He's unfortunately where he's at, operates business. He's between New Orleans and Baton Rouge, and a lot of our elected officials pass through there. They're the best. You'll always have something. All right, we're chatting. Dean Grimes is back. He's got he posted a tenon cutter from a wrench, the video that he talked about a few minutes. He's posted that link on our chat tonight. And don't forget that no matter what time you leave, press the button, save the chat. It's on your computer. And if you don't have that capability or you can't just forget about it, don't worry about it. Our master webmaster, will grab the chat. He will remove the sensitive information contained within, which means if you put your stuff up, your information up for the contact list or whatever, that will be removed from the chat and the chat will be posted to our website. Now, I said remove the contact information. The only way, or one of the ways to get on our contact list is to add your information to the chat. And he goes through the chat, pulls it out, and he adds it to our list. And the list is updated all the time. So if you downloaded a chat list, that member list a couple of weeks ago, or contact list, I got to call it right, a couple of weeks ago, and you're looking for one of our fellow members, download it again. There's no charge, no problem. Let's keep it in a group, like everybody in the world can be a member. But if you want to get one and update your copy, update it. Store it on your phone, your iPad, your computer, and have it handy. In fact, the button over here that looks like a piece of wood on my computer, that's my link to my PDF of my chat. And you can do that. I mentioned tonight that we still collect photographs for our galleries, and because of moving the computer and all the other stuff tonight, I can't do a gallery again in the meeting. But I will post it to our YouTube account, and I do put it on Facebook, and I did that from last week also. So we collected those photos, and you can email them to me through the club email address, worldwidewoodturners@gmail.com. Very complicated. worldwidewoodturners@gmail.com. And we'll use your photographs for our gallery. I forward those same photographs to Dave, our webmaster, and he puts them on our website. So it's just not me and you looking at them. It's the entire world looking at these photographs, your art, your work. And remember the no but rule. Our rule is no but. I almost broke it tonight with somebody. If you see something on our gallery, you can say something about it, but no but. That's it. I like this, but. Nope. I like this. You don't get to throw the button there, and we absolutely positively will not allow anybody to condemn somebody's work or make fun or ridicule or anything else. We all turn. We all have our version of what we should not do, how it should come out. I talked about the funnel bottom in a bowl. My preference is I should never be able to tell. I should never be able to tell if a bowl has been turned. Is it been molded? Is it grown that way or whatever? But if I have to see rings and orbs and everything else to get to the bottom of a bowl, it takes it's hard on this. Those changes in texture catch your eye more than the beauty of the piece will, or it detracts from it. So if you're looking at a beautiful bowl and you look inside, it looks like a funnel, because the guy couldn't make that, as Terry talked about, that bottom feeding cut to get rid of it. And that can be a cut or it can be a scrape. If you're really, really good with a scraper, Terry said that, you can roll it across. I have a scraper out there that's probably 3 foot long and 3/4 inch thick by 1 inch wide, and it's got the hook shape on it and all that. I have no idea where it showed up from. It was laying in my yard one day. That's my word, I'm sticking to it. But I could reach down deep in a piece and had enough leverage to keep it from chattering. Because if you can't provide support, it'll bounce. That be a bottom feeder, you don't have that problem because it's slicing, not scraping. Two totally different cuts here. But talking about making your own tools and stuff, that scraper I was talking about was handmade or shop made by one of the members. I don't know who, but he made a lot of tools like that because he couldn't afford to buy them. We're also working on a glossary of terms and parts and pieces and things. If you think maybe it's just too simple, think about a novice turner who's getting into this or working on this and trying to turn wood. And there's 1,000,006 ideas out there on how to do everything. And if you don't know the term, don't worry about it. We're wood turners. We'll change the name of it in 6 minutes. It doesn't matter. We'll describe it improperly. We'll probably won't tell you what page it's on in the catalog or anything else. But let's describe what the tools do. A bottom feeder does this. A box cutter does this. A hook tool does this. I mean, they have a German turner. I think he's German or Sweden. Turner Borge that does YouTubes. I watch him using a hook tool turning a bowl. I'm embarrassed to call myself a wood turner after watching this. It's that good. So we're looking for those descriptions for our glossary. So when folks want to get involved in this, they want to improve, they want to keep going, whatever, they have some basis to have a conversation with other wood turners, with distributors, buyers, sellers, and that's why we're trying to do this. Don't forget Freedom Pens, it's in there, in the list. So let's get to it. Anybody else got anything to show tonight, or got a conversation that we can grab into? It's your wood turning club. Hello?
Well, I've got a question.
All right, Dave, go ahead.
What's a spigot, so I can put it in the dictionary right? I thought about it as I was staring at it, and I was thinking, I'm not sure I know what that is, that we're going to use that tool to. Sorry, I'm a novice.
Isn't that the mortise you use in when you're first turning your bowl and green, and it gets out of round, and you go in and use like that tool that we're shown to make it round again.
All right.
I thought it was the mortise.
No, that's a tenon.
That's the tenon. Okay.
Did I get it the wrong way,
Yes.
backwards?
Yes,
Okay.
it is the tenon.
It's the
Okay,
tenon.
sorry about that.
Mortise is inside the wood. A tenon's on the outside of the wood.
Okay.
Out of the wood.
Now, I'll
The
make
tenon
sure
goes
that's on
into
the
the-
list of the glossary.
The tenon goes into the mortise.
Got it.
That shouldn't be doing that. All right.
That makes a lot of sense.
If I did that 50 years ago, I'd
Yeah,
be
what-
dead. That it's funny, from one flip of the world to the other. In some areas of the world, it's called a tendon, T-E-N-D-O-N, and it's a T-E-N-O-N. I went to cabinet making school, and remember, we had one instructor, and he was from Brisbane, and another instructor who was from Coonass from down below, down by where Billy Diller lives. And they would argue about the pronunciation and spelling of words that meant for the same thing. It was the same word, but one letter off, one way or the other. And think about a novice woodturner or novice cabinet maker trying to say, what's he talking about? What's he talking about? And I was only there a couple of days when I was told I had a tape measure. And I was told that I would be thrown out of class if I didn't come up with a stick rule. Now, go to the hardware store and ask for a stick rule. Or a Lufkin X46 or X46X or an X48. Somebody told me one day that Lufkin was going out of business. I bought every one the local hardware had, only to find out they didn't go out of business. They were purchased by another company. They were growing. But I had a good stock. I still got some of those, and I haven't broken one in probably 40 plus years.
I went to an estate sale. They had 4 of them. I said, how much is these? They said, oh, just give us $1 for them. I bought all 4.
There you go.
They don't go bad. The measurements don't change. They don't go bad. I mean,
they don't.
Mine flooded out there in August. I mean, really, everything, and it stayed in weather for a couple of months till we cleaned up. I sprayed with a little, some kind of rust inhibitor breaker, a bolt breaker or whatever. I sprayed them with that one or two times, blew it out with the arrows, sprayed a little T9 on it. They work as good as the day I bought them. Yeah, and you'll learn how to flip them out. But don't do that until you learn. Or you'll have 2 pieces to learn with.
Yes.
All right. Anybody else up tonight?
And those folding rules aren't as inaccurate as the tape measures are they?
Nope, because the tip doesn't slide back and forth.
Right.
And we may have all seen a YouTube picture or video picture of the 2 Stanley or Lufkin tape measures are both sitting in there a 1/4 inch off from the manufacturer.
Oh yeah.
So, and they got a little sliding depth
Use a
gauge
tape.
on.
Use the same one.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, don't call it out to a guy. I did a project one time at a university, and we had hired some students to help, and I heard 2 college students talking about cutting something, and one on the floor said, 7 and 3 little marks past the one in the middle. and that's what we're paying for sometimes.
That sounds like me, Eddie.
You've got that ruler with the little marks all over it. Yeah, and this, if you use a stick rule and you do a 6'8", make sure when you put the 6 foot, you make a little loop, because if you just put a mark, when you come back to cut it, you'll cut through the 6 foot mark, not the 8 inch mark. It'll. I just read about that someplace. Probably on a pink slip Harry gave me when he sent me on the block. Right.
That's probably it.
Yeah. We're having a little visit tonight. If you want to get involved, it's your wood turning club. And really, if you're a new member, come in and say hi. Talk to us about the work you're doing. Show it to us. Scott says, always use the same tape measure for a project from the start to the finish. You're right. The same. In fact, the same thing with stick rollers. Manufacturer to manufacturer, or from a X46 to a M46, which is a masonry, you might find a little difference in some additional lines that would confuse you. So you stick with the same thing. And Bob Hodge says, if you use the same one over and over again, you have less chance of losing it.
Yeah, that's true too.
Yeah. That's like the pencil you just had.
Yeah.
Hold on. The other day, I sat here with my laser engraver and played around. I did pencils, and it won't show up really good. I put Ronnie Bonnett's name on the side of about a dozen pencils for him, you know, and personalized pencils. You don't get that service anywhere around here. But my wife thinks I'm crazy because I'm personalizing.
Hey, Eddie.
That's an olive cover. I'm in the back there. Okay.
Where you at? Hold on.
All right. That's the Niji laser to do mark what circuit it's on, having a little fun with it, marking the light switches. I'm always afraid of what else get marked around here, but it's you know, that's practice. That's why somebody was showing. We had 4 or 5 people show birdhouses tonight. If you are thinking birdhouses, do you know how much of our technique goes into a birdhouse? You use all the steps you'd use on doing a finer bowl or a nice bowl or a turn piece or a pepper mill or a candlestick or you get all that, but all your practice can be done with a simple birdhouse. Bob, not being offensive about simple, but it can be a simple birdhouse. All that you have to set up with, think about it. You'll learn how to bore with the right size, create a tenon, match a mortise, drill through the side of stuff, create a jam chuck, spindle work, sockets. What's that? Matt said earlier he'd love to see how Bob does that little roof using the Lama Pro Lam or whatever. How he did that. There's a lot in birdhouses. Don't pass on them. I'd love to do an open challenge to the club on birdhouses. I have to have you folks say to do that. But if we can get that, we would see the different types of art available on a project.
So much creativity.
Yeah. Somebody just had a mallet. Their club's challenge was to create a mallet, a sounding pad. I've been to clubs where you got a piece of 2 by 2, 6 inches long. What can you make? You know, and that can happen with birdhouses or bowls or whatever. When you talk bowls, sometimes we'll scare away turners and says, I don't do bowls very well. Okay, do you know there's no rule on birdhouses? I mean, there's no, you got to do this and you got to do that. We're not trying to meet any aviary standards. We just want to have a little fun and learn more about wood turning. That's it. Gary Hoffman asked a question.
Hey, Eddie.
He said, yo, Brenda.
Tim Hatch has a bowl he wants to show.
Tim, what's up, bud?
Hey, good evening.
Where'd he go?
So I've been out, I've been out training the National Guard for the past couple of weeks, so I haven't been in the shop too much. But a guy I worked with out of Camp Swift gave me 4 big old walnut burls, and the deal was if I turned him a bowl, I didn't have to pay for the burls. And I'm thinking to myself, that's a pretty doggone good deal. So I started turning this bowl. It's not finished by any means. It's got
pull it back to you.
In it.
Pull it back
Got
to
a
you.
little natural edge. The epoxy's still wet, so I don't want to keep it up too much, but so that's the natural edge portion of it, and I backfilled it with some of that turquoise and some of the some little lapis and some copper gold mix leaf there. So that's what I'm working on. It's still got a ways to go yet. That epoxy, I did a deep pour because on these two spots that you can see there with the gold in it. I don't know if lighting's real good, but they're about, the whole thing's about 3/8 inch wall thickness and bottom thickness, but it's probably about an 1/8 gap that I left from the bottom of that resin that I was putting in there up to the epoxy. No, the inlay material to the epoxy. And the concept that I had going there was it would be kind of a mirror effect or a window effect looking down into the hole, just like you're looking through a glass into, hypothetically what you would see naturally within a rock with different minerals and elements and stuff. So that's, but I've got another, that's that deep cheese show. It's going to take about another 5 to 7 days to dry, cure time, and then I'll be gone for the next 2 to 3 weeks, plus or minus. So I won't get to it till the end of May probably, but it's a work in progress. So
all right, we want to see how it comes out, bud.
Oh yeah,
we look forward to seeing it. Yeah.
So that was an epoxy bowl?
No, it is a burl. The whole thing's burl.
I'm just asking because it is just as shiny as can be. It is gorgeous.
Yeah, I poured epoxy in the bottom just to fill the voids. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that back once. I'm going to remount it on the tenon that's still on the bowl. Once it all dries, I'll cut that back, and then I'll probably do a CA finish on it, just so it all blends and has that shiny effect to it. But
that's going to be beautiful.
Going to be beautiful.
Yeah, it's so dimensions on that is about 10 inches wide by about 2.5 tall, and the burl is actually about 6 or 8 inches, and I ended up cutting off a chunk of that, so I can make a second smaller bowl out of it for something else. But yeah,
nice.
Yeah. So one interesting thing about the burl that I noticed, and maybe other people that have dealt with this, is you have the hardwood, you have the sapwood, you have pithwood. It is a mess. I mean, you got everything from soft to friggin' hard as a rock and can't hardly turn to, everything. So,
well, Tim, when you're turning that, follow the grain.
Yeah, I was trying to. when I was standing.
Which one of the 50?
Ended up having to do a whole lot of handstanding.
Is that like skiing through moguls? You got to really go up and down.
Yeah, but I did use a lot of CA glue just to fill those, all the soft spots, all the pithy areas, and that type of thing. But boy, in fact, the epoxy kind of leaked all the way through. There was a couple spots I thought I got, but this morning I went out to my shop, and luckily I had a silicone mat up underneath there because it would have been all over my work table. But so that's all I got. Thanks for letting me.
Good job.
Good seeing you with us. All right, we have a question on the chat tonight, and I've seen a handful of responses to it. But, I got to go back up and find it. Somebody said about the size of a tenon to be on a bowl, to hold a bowl. What is a good size for reference or the standard size? I'm going to throw this right on a fire. I won't touch it in the beginning. Let's have some opinions. Come on. Tenon, chuck. How... Is there a safe size, unsafe size? And let's not talk about what size bowl. Let's talk about a tenon holding an A chuck. Give me some advice.
I don't know if I give advice, but I will say that I see a lot of folks, their tenon is determined by the size of the jaws they have for their chuck, which is probably not the best idea on the larger bowls.
Oh, really? Okay.
And I think if you've got a softer wood, you want to go with a larger tenon. Or really hardwood, a smaller tenon is probably, less of a problem.
It makes a big difference whether you're turning an end grain or side grain too. If you're turning end grain, you can get away with a pretty small tenon, but if you're turning a side grain on a big bowl, you gotta be real careful. You get it too small and you'll snap it off. The tenon will break.
Been there,
off,
done that.
Come out of the truck. Huh?
Yeah.
Well, we're talking about two different dimensions now. When you're talking about a tenon, you're talking about the depth of the tenon, and you're also talking about the diameter of the tenon.
Diameter.
There's different things. The diameter. I've had several professionals, people I consider professionals, tell me that the correct size for a tenon is where your jaws are almost closed, because you get more contact between the jaw and the wood that way. If you have it open, where you got a big gap between your jaws, all you're doing is pinching it in with the corners of the jaws, and that's not how they're designed to hold.
Exactly.
You're absolutely right. The difference is using
I've heard the
different
same
jaws.
thing.
You're absolutely right about it, but you use a different size jaw on your chuck for a larger tenon on a bigger bowl.
Yeah.
Yes,
but,
of course.
But it should close to like 1/8 of an inch is what you want to shoot for. The jaws are made in a complete circle, and then they're cut apart with a saw. So they're designed to go straight in and leave that little gap. And the more you open them up, then you're only touching on the corners. So if you need a bigger tenon, you want a larger set of jaws.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that's the way I was taught. Yeah, exactly the way.
And then,
That's
of course,
exactly right.
Then, of course, for the depth, that kind of varies. It doesn't really take a whole lot, but you certainly don't want the depth of your tenon to touch the inside of the jaw.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And one more thing to add to it: leave the tailstock in as much as you can.
Yes.
Sometimes it gets in my way. I take it out and then put it back in when I'm doing the next step. But I'd love to have my tailstock in, because it's not going anywhere with the tailstocks in it. And even if it breaks, it's not going to go flying.
Right.
But all the time, I like to keep it as much as I can. When it gets in the way, you have to take it out. But at that time, you're back. You got the wood balanced better and everything, and you're not making as bad of a cut. And I love it to have the tailstock in. And the mounting is like we've been talking about.
Another thing, always mark your chuck position on your piece of wood in case you have to take it off and remount it. You have a reference point. Like that bowl I was just showing you. I've taken it off the chuck 2 or 3 times, putting it right back on, and stayed true every time because I'd marked that tenon location and the chuck location.
Might want to mention the shoulder on there too. Without a shoulder on the tenon, you don't have any strength.
Correct.
Exactly.
Flat shoulder.
Correct.
Yes.
A clean flat shoulder. Here's the deal: if you turn a tenon on something junk, all right, you turn the tenon on the piece, slice it in half, and then take your jaw and put it where it should be. And if there's a crack or a gap, or it won't set down, or the point won't go in, you got to refine how you make that tenon. So my skews are ground at the same angle that my profile jaws are to do a tenon. And I can go in from the outside like a scraper and put a perfect tenon, and scrape out the last part of the tenon with that. And I know I got a point, and I got the right angle, and when I put my jaws on it, I'm going to get solid, hard grab. And I don't use those surrogated, those...
Do you work tomorrow or Friday?
I don't use those chucks that have all the ribs and notches and bumps and all that on the inside. Someone taught me a long time ago to go to profile jaws. Constant contact, right size, maximum hold. Because I'm doing the right tenon. If I was grabbing something that was irregular or not, I couldn't do a tenon on, I was grabbing barrel, I might change to those. I got a box full of them. But yeah, you go with what's working for you. And remember, there's nothing in the book, because there's no book. Well, we've been past 9 o'clock on a Wednesday evening, folks. We didn't do a demo tonight. We sat on a tailgated truck and told lies and stories.
Can I shoot a question first? I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Dave.
Somebody sent me a question about adding something to the glossary, and I don't think I can add the information, so I'm going to ask a real question here. The person was asking, what diameter should the Irish grind be? And I made the comment, I don't think it's the diameter, it's more the size of the wings and the angle, as opposed to, I mean, it could be a 3/8 inch, 5/8, ½ inch, 3/4 inch. In terms of the diameter, to be an Irish grind, it just depends on the size of the project you're working on, right?
Well, it also depends on what you want the tool to do. There's so many variations and angles and sweeps and all that. On my website, eddiecastellan.com, I have a link to the sheets that David Ellsworth gave me explaining his version of the Irish grind, and it'll show you the good, the bad, the ugly. And let me tell you, I've seen some really good turners, which people thought they were good, show up with really ugly, and then have to nurse it all day long to get it to work right. So, well, let's see if we can get a little more information on a glossary for that. In fact, we may be able to refer them to a contact. And the glossary can do that.
There's one more thing in the chat, Captain. Bob Moffitt had wanted to show a tenon tool he made from a wrench.
Is Bob still there? Birdhouse Bob.
Yeah, I'm still here. This is one I made from a wrench. Can you see me?
So,
Yeah, but I can't
see you,
wrench.
but not the wrench.
Okay.
Now
I
we
just
got
took
you.
Yeah.
Can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay. I took an open end wrench and just ground the top off sharp and just left the bottom the way it was. And I just get it almost the right size and then just push it in like that. And I've got exactly the size I want to.
That's great. That's what I have, a whole ring of them.
Yeah,
this
they
was
work
just
awesome.
This was a small piece of wood waiting to become an artistic creation.
Oh, great.
Looks like it made it.
Perfect. Perfect.
And I just cut the other end off the wrench so I could stick it in a handle. But it probably would have worked fine with just holding the wrench itself.
Well,
It
the
looks
wrench is
better.
not that long, and you do need something to eliminate chatter, which you can get if it's a short tool.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but you don't have a hook now to hook it on. The closed in, you can't hook it onto a nail to store it.
Yeah, you could. I've got a little box I keep my birdhouse tools in. I just put it in that.
He's got a way around it. Can't get him.
You know,
Thank you, Bob.
You got to get up early to get ahead of Bob Moffitt.
Yeah.
They had a birdhouse box.
Good job, Bob.
Got them tools in.
Yeah, this fits in my birdhouse toolbox.
He's a specialist. Thank you,
You can
Bob.
put anything in a birdhouse box.
No, that's just so I have a chance of being able to find it.
I know the feeling. I labeled all kinds of boxes in my shop when we moved in here. Now I can't remember what the labels mean. All right. Hey, folks, we had a great afternoon or the evening sitting on the tailgate chatting. And next week we have a good demonstration lined up for you. And a lot of our members that jump in here, chide in here, criticize or whatever, they're all going to be around, and hope you're back with us too. Bring a friend. If you come in next week, bring a friend. And anytime you come, invite a friend. We got plenty of room. Tailgate's wide open, and we'd like to have you visit with us when we do wood turning. I'm Captain Eddie Castellan. On behalf of worldwidewoodturners.org, I wish you and yours a very safe and careful week. Take care.
Bye,
Good night,
everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Save your chat.
Good night, everybody.
Great evening.
Night, Mary Ellen.
Good night, everybody.
Save your chat.